listen up. 81% of commerce happens in the real world, not online. Your 2026 plan needs a real-world strategy. AI is killing your traffic. Big tech owns your audience. You need to turn every touch point into a direct-to-consumer funnel. Scan now for the 2026 big-ass CMO growth plan. Flowcode. Instantly connect fans to your brand.
T-Mobile has the best network. That's why there's no better place to get the new iPhone 17 Pro on them.
Hold on. Is this big enough? We should have music, lights, banners. I mean, you gotta feel it. Get the most powerful iPhone ever on the best network. I sure dance.
This is big. At T-Mobile, get the incredible new iPhone 17 Pro on us on the best network.
No more coffee for Zoe. Every Monday and Tuesday, the NBA is on NBC and Peacock. Peacock NBA Monday, NBA Coast to Coast Tuesday. Every week, all season long.
And now the answer to today's Aflac trivia question. What was the last NCAA FBS team to begin the season ranked #1 in the AP poll and finish the season ranked #1? The answer, the University of Alabama Crimson Tide in 2017.
Intel shares trading higher. We're rich. Taxpayers, I mean. The company reporting stronger than expected revenue, signaling demand for its Core x86 processor for PCs has returned. This is Intel's first quarterly release since the government took a stake in that chip maker. And joining us now, Ray Wang, Constellation Research chairman and AI Forum co-founder. All right, Intel's back. Are they? Is it?
Well, we're one quarter in, and I think the real question is, are people going to buy the new chips out of the 18A plant? That's foundry. And really, questions are bound. Really, question is, can they get the orders to actually do the turnaround? But the good news, costs are down, margins are up. Lip-Bu has actually created some order out of chaos. And I think that's really where we're starting to see some hope that Intel can pull it off. But the stock market loves it. I mean, we're seeing the market react like crazy because they're hoping that domestic chip production wins out as the macro.
81% in 3 months. So is it because of the involvement of the government, or was it just great timing by the Fed? What do you attribute it to? By the Trump administration? What you know what I mean? Is there a cause and an effect, or is it because coincidence is not causation?
Well, look. The timing, especially with the administration making investments, with the rest of the Mag 7 making investments, with chip orders coming up and the AI pull, that's definitely one part. The second piece is trying to figure out what to do with the two parts of Intel, really the part that makes the chips and the part that designs the chips. We're seeing a smaller workforce. They drove down costs by 20%. They've got a flat guidance, which seems to be a good thing in this business at the moment. But the real question is, we're starting to see progress, right? The new chips, the 18A, it's a 1.8 nanometer chip. Currently, they're at 3 nanometers going to 1.8. That's a great thing. And the question is, can they get the orders? And when you get thinner chips, less power in use, that means companies like NVIDIA are interested. That means companies that are building chips like Apple or using chips like Apple might be interested. And so that's really part of the recovery conversation. And so if they can start getting the orders, that's when people are going to start taking notice and realizing that, yes, the turnaround is here. Intel might be able to pull it off.
The biggest concern whenever you worry about industrial policy is that the government has never been good at picking winners and losers. You're worried they're going to prop up a loser or something. Is it possible a year or two from now that chart looks very different and it doesn't work out? Is it possible it goes back into an also ran and the entire industry is being dominated by other companies? Is that still possible?
Joe, you're absolutely right. If we have two things, right? One, if we realize that they can't get these 18A chips out and there are no orders. And then the second piece is if we actually have a situation where the chip market is flooded and we discover that a new chip like a TPU is going to take over the GPU realm, or that something else happens in terms of not having energy availability to support the chips that we're trying to produce.
Yeah, because, I've seen other members of Congress and the government, their timing is unbelievable on a lot of these buys and sells. Should we sell? Should we be selling right now?
We have a representative in our state that actually has a really good track record, so you might want to look at her here.
Where are you? Where are you?
I live in the San Francisco Bay Area, Silicon Valley.
Because we got a pretty good stock trader
tracking
here
stock is pretty good, actually.
in New Jersey too. Yeah, somebody
You as well.
doesn't know whether she made $7 million or not. At least that's what the ads say. So we shouldn't necessarily sell right now.
No. I think I would. The guidance really.
See, I feel like I'm a part owner since I can't own any stocks here. Yeah, I'm a part owner as a taxpayer. So. The 10% stake actually means we might get a dividend out of this, but really I agree with you, right? We should have a free market, but right now I think what we're doing is the same thing we did in the auto industry, trying to prop up the chip industry to support domestic production from a national security perspective. And so long we're still in a war with China on chips and AI and other areas, this is going to continue. All right. As always, Ray, appreciate it. Ray Wong.
Happy Friday.
Okay, you too.
All right, President Trump just posting on Truth Social, Canada cheated and got caught. They fraudulently took a big buy ad saying that Ronald Reagan did not like tariffs when actually he loved tariffs for our country and its national security. Canada is trying to illegally influence the United States Supreme Court in one of the most important rulings in the history of our country. Canada has long cheated on tariffs, charging our farmers as much as 400%. Now they and other countries can't take advantage of the U.S. any longer. Thank you to the Ronald Reagan Foundation for exposing this fraud. Make America great again. This is in reference to something we showed earlier in the program. President Trump has canceled trade negotiations and the deals that they've struck with Canada at this point because Ontario took out an ad using Ronald Reagan, a radio address that he did when he was president, and they edited it to some extent, but basically it was Ronald Reagan saying that he was a proponent of free trade and that tariffs were bad for the country. They did not put in some of the additional things he said, talking about where he would use them periodically for areas of national defense, but not in the broad use that the Trump administration has used to this point. But he also did say that the executive office the president should have the ability to negotiate these things without being held back.
So they're inevitably bad for jobs in the country because they lead to trade wars.
Right.
I mean, he did say for defense, but I would think that could be broadened to strategically if we've been on the receiving end of unfair, the WTF or whatever the hell it is.
WTO.
We can't count on
WTF.
Oh yeah, that's right. WTO.
World
the
Trade
WTF.
Organization, not the what the.
WWE. I think I meant.
Not that either.
No. We can't count on them to solve all the international.
They've dinged China for quite a while. It's
never works.
Been really effective in any of the measures that they've taken. Anyway, when we come back, a new survey finding Americans may not be factoring inflation into their retirement plans. We've got the details when Squawk Box returns.
Comcast Business Advanced Networking and Security Solutions help turn businesses into logistics mastering, supply chain transforming, seamlessly restocking, frictionless paying, poke bowl ordering, cyber securing, mobile access granting, data managing. Welcome to the worlding modern businesses. Powering the engine of modern business, Comcast Business.
The Drive into Fall event starts now with 0% APR financing for up to 72 months on select Ram 1500 models. Welcoming back the legendary Hemi V8 and backed by a 10-year, 100,000-mile warranty. Nothing stops Ram, and nothing stops these deals at the Drive into Fall event. Hurry in now and make one yours.
During the Ram Drive into Fall event, get 10% below MSRP, plus $2,000 bonus cash on select 2025 Ram 1500 models in dealer inventory, or get 0% financing for 72 months.
When cyber threats target the world's data, seconds matter. That's why the world's most trusted brands depend on ReliaQuest Gray Matter to contain threats in seconds. It's the only technology-independent, AI-driven platform built by security operators for security operators. GoliathQuest. Make security possible.
Drive Time makes it easy to buy a car.
Yeah, already approved. That was easy.
Yep, and you can even customize your own terms on every car.
Oh, there's a little slider thing. I can change my down payment?
Yeah, and we have thousands of cars under 15 grand.
I never had this kind of power. Boom! Lower! Lowest down option. Low monthly payment option. I'm making my own deal on all these cars!
Welcome to Car Buying Made Easy. This is a commercial. Go get your real deal at drivetime.com.
With Chewy Pharmacy, save 20% and make every pet a healthy pet. Get quality meds to help with anything. Fleas, allergies, or recoveries, delivered fast. For great prices, for life with pets, there's Chewy Pharmacy.
The September Consumer Price Index, which is a key gauge of inflation, and 2026 cost of living adjustment for Social Security benefits will be released this morning at 8:30. That's an hour from now. These data points can have a pretty significant impact on the financial security of retirees and aspiring retirees, but it may not be factored into their planning. Sharon Epperson joins us right now with exclusive reporting on a new global survey. And Sharon, good morning.
Good morning, Becky. You know, believing that you'll be financially secure in retirement and planning ahead to make that security a reality is a paradox for many retirees and aspiring retirees, and not only in the United States. More than 4 out of 5, or over 80% of mass affluent adults in the U.S., Brazil, Mexico, and Japan say they're confident they'll be able to cover essential costs in retirement. These are findings from Prudential's first global retirement pulse survey of more than 4,000 adults aged 30 and over with over $100,000 in investable assets, or the equivalent in those countries. Now, although they're optimistic about their retirement, that confidence hasn't necessarily come from planning ahead for factors they may impact their finances, like inflation. Only 55% of respondents in the U.S. and Brazil say they factored inflation into their retirement planning. And even fewer have considered healthcare expenses, creating what Caroline Feeney, Prudential's global head of retirement and insurance, calls a confidence paradox.
With this confidence paradox, if you actually haven't sat down and done a written plan, or really taken time to understand what is the retirement income stream that you likely will need in retirement, it's difficult to know what you're solving for.
Now, more than 4 million adults in the United States are expected to reach age 65 this year, over the next 2 years as well. And so that so-called peak 65 is in full swing. Financial advisors say many investors just aren't ready. Another recent survey from Principal Financial Group finds more than half, or 54% of Americans, believe their financial situation will improve during their lifetime, while the same share fear running out of savings once they retire. For more retirement planning strategies, subscribe to my Money 101 newsletter series using the QR code right there on the screen, or go to cnbc.com/money101. And there's a lot more on the latest impact on CPI data and Social Security adjustments that you can look at on cnbc.com this morning.
You know, inflation always scares me when thinking about retirement. Not just inflation, but particularly healthcare inflation. I mean, that's been such a huge factor. It's hard to say. It often far outpaces any overall inflation numbers that we see on this. What do you tell people if they have concerns about this? What are some steps that they can take now to kind of figure out the gap between where they think they are, or where they should be, and where they actually are?
Well, I think a lot of it is just education and planning, and people are looking for resources to help them do this, whether it's through their employer or on their own. And one of the things that's interesting is the Principal survey found that a lot of people are accessing AI tools to find out more about how to manage their money. But the other surveys have showed, like Prudential, that they still want to talk to a human advisor about exactly what steps that they need to take to make sure that they don't outlive their savings. So I think a combination of some of the tools that are out there that can help with planning, and then talking to someone to see if what those tools show and what you need to do makes sense.
The thing that has always, you know, kind of gotten to me is when you go through these exercises, the first thing they ask you is, how long do you think you're going to live?
Yeah, you have no idea.
No idea. I'd like to not run out by the end, whatever that might be. But what if I tell you 80 and I wind up living to 95?
Well,
80? right mind would say I'm hoping to live to 80.
Well,
You never
it's not
know
what you
what
hope to live. I hope to live.
I know you never know,
family health history.
But it's.
I have a hope it's like 112.
Is that your plan? Like
My hope is 112, yeah.
Your hope is 112. And
Well, I hope
your family
120,
history
but-
shows, and your health shows that you can probably
Just a couple
last
days
that
ago,
long.
I was reading the tips from this lady who's 117. And there are people that,
Order
my
canceled.
grandma's 99.
Order canceled.
She didn't do a lot of the things I've done, unfortunately, but, with the tips that she did give. But there are people that are over 100.
Well, I have one grandparent that lasted to his 80s, but I have two that passed away in their 60s. So you don't know what your family history might be like, what your medical history is like, in terms of how long you can retire, but how long until you're going to outlive your savings or how long you may last. One of the things I like, there are websites out there that can help you find out. One I found a long time ago called livingto100.com.
All right, I like that. Livingto100.com. I'm writing that down.
But the idea is to think about your health now and then what your family medical history is. Those are the key components to figuring out how long you
Yeah, just hope you're not wrong.
Yeah.
Either way. Either way on that.
Save more than you think. That's
Right.
basically the
Exactly.
Save more than
Be
you think.
conservative would be my guess, and then great, you can leave it to your kids or charity or something else, but be conservative would be my
You're looking good. I got a 9 handle on both my parents.
Awesome.
Yeah, you do.
My grandma's 99.
99er.
She's doing great.
It's a good number.
Yeah, great.
Clint's still making a movie. And Shatner's ziplining.
And her dad lived to 98, my great-grandpa.
Shatner's ziplining on the Great Race, whatever the hell that
right.
show's called.
And going to space.
But he might have
Going
figured
to
something. He
space.
might have figured out something with some of those other civilizations. I think he might have gotten some. Don't
From
you
those
think?
other lands he traveled to?
Yes. I think he figured something out.
As Captain Kirk. Thank you very much, Sharon. Sure. We appreciate it. All right, when we come back, an update from the front lines of the regional banking industry. We're going to be speaking with Valley Bank CEO Ira Roberts. He will join us with his company's latest earnings. We'll also get an outlook for the sector, what he's seeing in terms of credit, also what he's seeing just in terms of demand from consumers and businesses for small bank loans. We will be back in just a moment.
I know how to make slick-looking goggles/glasses, but I have no idea how to make slick-looking social media stuff.
But GoDaddy Aero uses AI to create social content out of thin air, like this one.
Walton Goggins goggle glasses are great gifts for all guys and gals.
Ever worry that you're drinking too much? Take back control with Or Health. Or Health provides access to medication proven to help. A daily pill to drink less, or to quit drinking altogether. Text CNBC to 710-710 to learn more.
For plant-based, healthy blood pressure support, there's one brand at Walmart that stands above the rest. It's Superbeats by Human. Discover why Superbeats is the #1 cardiologist-recommended beet brand for heart health support at your nearest Walmart today.
Crypto staking just hit Wall Street. For the first time ever, staking rewards are available through a U.S.-listed ETF. Introducing SSK, the Rex Osprey Sol plus staking ETF. Solana exposure with staking rewards built in. Convenient, cost-effective. Solana, staked on your behalf. All through a simple ETF. SSK from Rex Osprey. Not suitable for all investors. Investors should carefully review the fund's prospectus for objectives, risk, charges, and expenses. Visit rexshares.com to obtain it and read carefully before investing. Distributed by Foresight Fund Services.
Shimmering, that's the golden lady.
At the Farmer's Dog, our fresh food plans give dogs good health and great hair.
Did you know that your life insurance policy is an asset that you can sell? Hi, I'm Jay Jackson. I'm the CEO of Abacus Life, and for almost 20 years, we've been purchasing life insurance policies from seniors just like you. In fact, you can use the free policy value calculator at abacuspays.com, and in just seconds, you can learn what your policy might be worth. There are no fees and no obligations. Get real value from your life insurance when you need it with Abacus.
Hi, I'm Cody. I wear a lot of different hats. Today I'm a firefighter, I'm also a police officer, and at the end of the day, I'm a Tractor Supply team member.
Tractor Supply's Hometown Heroes program honors all who serve, and that makes me really proud.
When veterans come in, it's thank you for your service. I appreciate everything you did.
From all of us out here to all our hometown heroes, for your service, for your patriotism, thank you.
Every day, I'm checking the markets throughout the trading session, working the phones, talking to sources to share insights, information, and all of the details that you need to make money.
Closing bell overtime for Easter and streaming on CNBC Plus.
All right, welcome back, everybody. Valley Bank posting slightly better than expected earnings. It had revenue growth of 8.7% year over year. That comes after regional bank stocks saw sharp drops last week because of growing concerns about the health of lending businesses. Joining us right now is Ira Robbins. He is Valley Bank CEO. And Ira, thank you for coming in today.
Great to be here. Thank you so much.
I just want to take a look. I don't know if we have the stock chart back there, but if you're looking at a year-to-date of Valley versus the Spider S&P Regional Banking Index, you have sharply outperformed your competitors. I think at this point, up by 16% versus decline for the overall index. What are you doing that other banks are not?
Well, I would love to say it's something that we're doing amazing within the organization. I think if you extended the chart a little bit further, you would see a pretty significant decline in Valley stock in that year prior.
Oh, I like the honesty.
Yeah,
Let's talk about
the
this.
ixnay on the honest day.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll try to.
Let's talk about that. What happened? Where was Valley before?
I think it's a microcosm of what goes on in this country, right? There was an overhang about commercial real estate exposure.
Yeah.
Valley has a significant commercial real estate exposure, a lot here in New York City, a lot just across the country. And every press release that you would read, commentary here, talk about the demise of commercial real estate and what a horrible asset class that it is. If you go back to Valley, we've now posted 7 quarters in this commercial real estate crisis with cumulative losses of only 57 basis points. Right? You look at the large banks, you're running 9%. So there was a lot of overhang, a lot of concern from the media and everyone else that there was going to be a lot of losses in our portfolio. And I think thankfully now you look at the stock, people are beginning to see that the losses never materialized. And maybe commercial real estate isn't such a horrible asset class.
Why didn't you have the losses that the big banks saw?
I think it goes back to knowing our borrower, right? The banking industry is an amazing industry when you think about it. You have small banks that cater to a certain segment, regional banks like Valley, we're the 25th largest in the country, that caters to a certain segment. And then you have the large banks that cater to really conglomerates, private equity funds, and different things like that. You know, for us, we know our borrowers. The character of the borrower matters. The personal guarantee of the borrower matters. Our ability to understand the geographies and the corners of which we're lending on really matter. Great for the country, great for a bank like us.
What
Order
percentage
canceled.
of your depositors are $250,000 or less?
Right, so we have about 70% of our depositors that are less than $250,000. We have a very strong retail network. The bank's been around for about 100 years. We've never had a losing quarter ever in 100 years.
That's because the FDIC
There's been something floated, a $10 million FDIC.
So I love this conversation.
That would help regionals because, remember Janet Yellen said, I'm covering everybody, basically, during whatever that was.
The sovereign bank.
Right.
Yeah, Silicon Valley, whatever it was. It was an implied moral hazard that you didn't have to worry about anything because Uncle Sam's got your back. I don't know if they really did. If everybody needed it, it wouldn't work. Yeah. Do you think it'd be good or bad if the FDIC got raised? Would it make you less?
I would say from an America perspective, it's critically important. You go back to the great financial crisis, 2008, 2009.
So go to 10 million on FDIC?
Let me just explain to you for a second as to why this is really important. If you go back to 2008, 2009, we saw massive challenges within the large money center banks that really drove the entire industry down. And we went to a temporary guarantee, which was critical to convey the trust that was needed within the banking industry.
Yeah.
Ben Bernanke in 2010, in front of Congress, talks about when he gets questioned about the moral hazard. And the greatest moral hazard, according to Ben Bernanke in 2010, was too big to fail. So what have we seen in our country now? We've seen an implicit guarantee given to the large institutions. They had 22% of consumer deposits back in 2010, 44% of consumer deposits today.
Because the expectation is that the federal government will protect the big banks because they are systemically important, but they will not protect the small banks, the regional banks, because we have to allow some banks to fail in order to not have moral hazard.
Exactly. But what happens is, if you think about it, if all the credit decisions are made in 1 or 2 or 3 large organizations, how do you think about wealth distribution? How do you think about the economics and ability to disperse capital across the industries that I was describing before? From an American consumer perspective, from an entrepreneur perspective, they have to make changes because the implicit guarantee is putting all the products, if you think about what deposits are in one organization.
Is self-insured. The banks insure themselves on that.
Right.
You all pay for the funds that go into that. So would you be willing to pay more money to have a higher threshold?
I think we would be willing to pay more, but I think in reality what should happen is the large banks should be paying their fair share. Think about
What's
any
the
business.
fair share? That's what I always
think about any business that gets
Should
run
everybody
today.
pay the same percentage?
Absolutely not. If you have an implicit guarantee from the federal government, you should be paying for that.
I thought
we're
we ended
basically
too big to
paying for it.
fail. We didn't.
We did not, no.
No, we haven't addressed it. If I'm a member of Congress, I'm agitated.
So
with
you
the
want you want FDIC of 10 million.
But he wants the big banks to pay a bigger portion.
I think it should be.
But it wouldn't apply to them, I don't
for
think.
payroll and transaction accounts.
In what was being proposed, it was for the.
Right, what was proposed by the Haggerty bill limited it to the non-SIFI banks across the country.
Yeah.
Right, because they already effectively have it, but they're not paying for it.
The Journal wrote just a
But
scathing
so
piece
you're not in
on
favor
how
of
bad
that.
That was an editorial written by the large banks, by the way.
It was written by a large bank.
You look at what BPI and some of the others have done, and they are definitely
against this,
influencing what this looks like. Because if you think about your business, if your cost of goods costs you less than what it does for someone else, why do you want to change
So
it?
you're saying they already have this implicit guarantee from the government, and you're going to be forced to pay for it yourself.
Our cost of goods costs more than what they do.
That's an interesting argument.
And when you
We
think
talk to
about the big
banks a
picture of the
lot.
country, once again, that's not American to have all the deposits sitting at 4 large banks. That makes no sense. And that's a trend that we've gone to. I think there needs to be some rational conversation.
That op-ed piece said 99% of banks at the regionals are under 250. But you said you've got 30% above 250.
Look, we bank some very large clients. I mean, the challenge is, if you think about it from a practical perspective, nonprofits is a great example. We bank a lot of nonprofits in the markets that we serve. And nonprofits have educated financial people that sit on their boards. So if you're sitting on a board in a financial crisis, are you saying, am I keeping my money at Valley or am I keeping my money at JP Morgan?
Right.
Right? And those are the decisions. Now, in reality, JP Morgan's not giving them the loan for the assisted development center that they need. JP Morgan's not giving them the working capital to support the autism programs that they have. Banks like Valley are. But we need to recognize that if we don't have the deposits, we can't give those loans.
All right, let me run through some questions quickly because we're trying to wrap us, but I've got more to ask you. First of all, where do things stand just in terms of sound underwriting standards for credit? Because that's been a big concern with the regionals lately. Where are you, and where do you see the rest of the industry?
Like I mentioned before, Valley's never had a loss. You look at the banking industry today, the amount of capital that sits in it, it's never been greater. Credit quality is really good. I think what we're seeing, though, is loans to non-depository financial institutions, which is really creating the issue, right? So those are loans that have really been spurred because of what's happened from a regulation perspective. You look at what happened in a regulatory environment, and the construct is let's keep bad loans or potential risky loans out of the banking sector. When you do that, there's still a need for these loans. You create intermediaries now that lend to this space. And what have banks done? They've now lent to these intermediaries. You look at what regulators are thinking about now, and the concept is let's be more inclusive and bring these loans back into the banking environment. It's better from a CRA perspective. It's better from a fair lending perspective. But I would say when you make loans to certain NDFIs that are to subprime borrowers, consumers that have challenges, you're going to have losses in those loans. So it's not so much just the underwriting, it's who are you lending to. If a loan to a subprime borrower was bad when you were doing it, it's still bad if you're doing it through an intermediary.
Let me ask you about the state of the consumer, the state of businesses where you operate. You have 230 branches and commercial banking offices in New Jersey, New York, Florida, Alabama, California, and Illinois. What do you see in terms of demand? What do you see in terms of the strength of how these companies and business and people are feeling?
Tariffs have been something we've bantered about for a long time. For us, our clients are strong. Our origination pipeline was $2.4 billion a year ago. Today, it's $3.3 billion of origination pipeline, massive demand across the markets that we serve. And I think what you're seeing is tariffs are having an unequal impact upon large companies and small companies. The companies we bank, much more resilient, much more agile. They still need to buy a piece of equipment. They're going to get it done. If it happens in a large company, the bureaucracy takes forever to move some of this forward. And I think we're seeing more demand in organizations.
I almost thought it was the opposite.
That's been the commentary. I think, just generally speaking, we haven't seen it come to practice in the banks and the clients that we talk to.
I like you. You have to come back because it's a perspective we don't hear all that often. We appreciate your time today.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Okay, thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
So we're coming up. It's never too early. Well, that's true. To talk holiday shopping, our Courtney Reagan is going to give us a preview with just a couple of months. She's only a couple of months till Christmas. Can we get Halloween out of the way, please?
Wonderful time of the year.
In a world of conformity, it's often the innovative that stand out. At FlexJet, we've built a state-of-the-art operations control center with an international fleet of private jets and helicopters. Our Red Label crews are leading the way in pilot compensation, all supported by one of the world's largest maintenance networks. This is our timeless dedication to you. That's why we're outgrowing the competition 2-1. At FlexJet, you won't just be flown, you'll be moved.
Some people like doing things the hard way, like doing their finances with a spreadsheet instead of using Quicken. Quicken pulls all your financial info together in one place and updates it automatically. How easy is that?
CMOs, CEOs, listen up. 81% of commerce happens in the real world, not online. Your 2026 plan needs a real-world strategy. AI is killing your traffic. Big tech owns your audience. You need to turn every touch point into a direct-to-consumer funnel. Scan now for the 2026 Big-Ass CMO Growth Plan. Flowcode. Instantly connect fans to your brand.
What if you could be part of a breakthrough? Every year, 300,000 to 500,000 men in the U.S. are living with advanced stage prostate cancer, many with an added challenge, heart disease. Current approved hormone therapies may strain the heart, but what if there was a better option? Medicus Pharma, pioneers of the revolutionary skin cancer patch, aims to deliver cardio-sparing prostate cancer therapy, targeting a $4 billion market. Medicus Pharma, pioneering cardio-oncology.
If history has taught us anything, it's not to root against the underdog, against impossible odds. You don't stand down. You swing first. Kalshi.
A real Texas shade tree stands the test of time. Founded in Texas in 2001, Jexa Energy was built to do the same. Still here, still strong, still growing. With plans to fit your home, your Texas life, chapter after chapter. We're Texans serving Texans, chosen by over 1.6 million homes since 2001. Make the switch to Jexa Energy today.
To throw the best tailgates in Texas, you need the highest quality beef and HEB certified meat cutters like me.
And me. We hand cut and grind fresh beef 7 days a week.
High quality beef and custom cuts. No one does tailgating like HEB.
Making headlines today, the European Union is accusing Meta and TikTok of breaking its transparency rules in the handling of illegal content. This is the first time the EU's online content rules have been used to make an allegation against a social media platform. Meta shares shaking it off, at least at the moment. They're up by about $4.78. When we come back, a strong week for crude after the United States hit Russia with sanctions. We're going to get into the energy markets and what could be ahead as winter approaches. Squawk Box is coming right back.
Behind this family's financial future is their advisor, helping them grow their wealth and share it across generations. And behind their advisor are Vanguard's institutional quality bond funds, powered by smart, repeatable strategies. Fact is, 90% of Vanguard's active bond funds outperformed their peers over the last 10 years.
We can get behind that.
Are you backed by institutional quality bond funds? Vanguard, discipline that delivers.
Did someone take some of my candles? They're not all here. Gonna pay for this bad boy later.
Pay for your gifts later. No fees, no interest. And get 5% cash back all holiday long.
Don't come in, I'm still in here. I don't care if this is the only bathroom in the house. This is my time.
Make the most of your money this holiday. PayPal.
You know I like a soak when I holiday shop.
Opportunities don't stop when the market day ends. So neither do we. Schwab gives you round-the-clock access to over 1,100 of the most popular stocks and ETFs, plus a wide variety of futures markets. All with 24-hour support from trading specialists who understand the ins and outs of 24-hour trading. No matter the hour, you can trade brilliantly with Schwab.
I'm Jay Jackson. For almost 20 years, Abacus Life has been purchasing life insurance
Order
policies
filled.
from seniors. And in just seconds, you can use the free calculator at abacuspays.com to learn what your policy might be worth.
The premiums were getting unreasonable.
We just didn't need the
Order
coverage
submitted.
Don't sell or lapse your policy without going to abacuspays.com first. There are no fees and no obligations. Get the real value from your life insurance when you need it with Abacus.
Hi, I'm Cody. I wear a lot of different hats. Today I'm a firefighter, I'm also a police officer, and at the end of the day, I'm a Tractor Supply team member.
Tractor Supply's Hometown Heroes program honors all who serve, and that makes me really proud.
When veterans come in, it's thank you for your service. I appreciate everything you did.
From all of us out here to all our hometown heroes, for your service, for your patriotism, thank you.
The oil sector rallying this week after President Trump announced sanctions on Russia's largest oil producers, Rosneft and Lukoil. Joining us right now to talk about it is Amrita Sen. She is Energy Aspects founder and director of research. And Amrita, what a week it's been, going from 58, maybe just below $58 a barrel, all the way to 62.37 this morning. Is this more than just those sanctions? What else is happening here to push these prices higher?
Look, these are the most meaningful sanctions the U.S. has announced on Russia since the war began. So that's why we've seen the jump. But I'll say this, that we are talking about volumes potentially being lost anywhere between 1.5 million barrels per day to 2.5 million barrels
Order
per day.
submitted. Order
and if that
filled.
were to actually happen, the price jump would be significantly more. It's just not going to be $5, $6, right? It just shows you that the market is actually still quite skeptical of whether this is going to go through or not. We've talked about and we've heard about sanctions for years. They've not been enforced in the same way. But we do think this is meaningful. It's just a question of whether the U.S. is going to enforce it. And that's why, yes, we've seen a jump, but the jump doesn't actually reflect what theoretically could be lost in the market.
How much would it be if we really enforced it? What did you say, Amrita?
1.5 to 2.5 million barrels a day.
What would the price
to
be?
2.5 million barrels per day.
Where would the price be instead
We'd be significantly higher. I think we're talking about 80s, 90s. I mean, it just depends on the range of how much we actually lose. And that's why I want to say that, look, we haven't made changes to our balances either, because we do think workarounds will be found. They usually are. But it does mean for the next couple of months, you are going to see some real tightness, particularly in Asia. Then once workarounds are found, you will see this oil flow. But that's where the enforcement becomes very, very important, whether we're going to get that or not.
Workarounds where the administration turns a blind eye, or workarounds that no matter how hard we try, we can't cut off the flow?
The former, because there's always ways, right? Yes, there'll be new entities that show up in places in the Middle East, and then they start trading these volumes. But if you look at what has happened to the Iranian flows back when these sanctions were announced, India stopped buying Iranian oil entirely. If there are proper sanctions and they're enforced, India will absolutely stop buying Russian oil. Yes, there will still be oil flowing to China, but it would still reduce Russian oil exports by at least 1 million barrels per day. And that would still mean a higher price, even if it doesn't go all the way to the $80, right?
Why do you think we've seen these sanctions at this point? I mean, part of it is probably because oil prices were so low it allowed the Trump administration to say, hey,
Order
we're
submitted.
pretty serious about this. But they have been talking tough on India, at least, with the use of this oil for quite some time.
Yes, but I think this is a fundamental difference, and I'm glad you asked the question, because so far the tough talk has actually been on tariffs. And we've been saying this for a long time, that if you are serious about actually making a meaningful difference to Russian flows, it's sanctions that matter. If you think about it from a refiner's point of view, why would you change your behavior if some other sector in your country is being affected by your 50% tariffs, right? It doesn't work. Sanctions are meaningful, especially if they're US sanctions. The banks get cautious, insurance companies get cautious, and you're simply not going to get the funding or even allowed to deal with it. And remember, a lot of these financial companies, both in China and in India, have big US presence. They do a lot of business in the U.S., so they have no incentive to circumvent sanctions. I think that's why sanctions is a far, far more important or impactful tool than tariffs are.
There has been some question about whether the Europeans would go along with this and support this as well. Germany, in particular, is not real excited about the idea of their manufacturing base getting hit with higher energy prices. Does it matter if they support us, if America is really the key on this? And do you think we'll get their support eventually?
Well, the EU did come up with the 19th package. It was very much a coordinated effect. The UK went first, and we already started to see some of the disruptions just from the UK sanctions alone. Then the US announced it, and the EU announced it very much like within a day. So yes, they have gone together, despite what it would mean for Western energy prices. I mean, look, that's why the West has been tiptoeing around this issue for the last few years, because it knows the cost is going to be higher energy prices. And that's why I think the market is skeptical. At the end of the day, President Trump wants low oil prices. The West is actually, it doesn't have the stomach to take high energy prices. And that's why the market doesn't believe it. If the market believed it, we would be much higher.
So all of that being said, where do you expect energy prices to go from here?
So I would say, look, in the next couple of days, we'll probably grind higher. I wouldn't rule out Brent kind of trading $70 again. However, I think there's so much skepticism in the market. I just got back from the US, and every trader I've been speaking with, they're fading this. They don't think the rally is going to last, because we are still talking about an oversupplied market in 2026. I think this is going to be something we need to monitor for a while. If these sanctions persist, or rather they're really enforced after the 21st of November deadline, then into 2026, that's when we're going to see the material increase in prices. But after the near-term increase, we're probably going to sell off again.
Okay. Amrita, thank you. We need to have you back soon as we continue to watch these flows. Great talking to you.
Good morning.
Thank you.
We got, what, 30 minutes into CPI?
I'm
getting my YOLO ready.
I'm Becky Quick along with Joe Kernan. Andrew is off today. Among our top stories this morning, we're less than 30 minutes to go from the September CPI report. This is a long-awaited delayed report. It had been delayed because of the government shutdown. This is, though, the final read on the economy.
Got my YOLO ready, guys.
Next week. Prices are forecast to be higher for a second straight month, but that firmer inflation is not expected to keep the Fed from cutting rates again. Year over year, we're looking for a CPI of 3.1%. President Trump posting on Truth Social late last night that he is terminating all trade negotiations with Canada. He said the provincial government of Ontario created an ad featuring former President Ronald Reagan speaking negatively about tariffs, and accused Canada of trying to influence a pending U.S. Supreme Court case that could end many of his tariffs, including ones on Canada. And a scandal rocking the NBA. Portland Trailblazers head coach Chauncey Billups is among the more than 30 people, including alleged mafia members, being charged with taking part in a massive scheme to rig underground poker games. Former NBA player Damon Jones has been charged with this, along with Miami Heat player Terry Rozier, over an alleged scheme in which bettors were given inside information to wager on the NBA.
I mean, Hollywood's like, oh my God, the mafia is still around. They mentioned all four crime families are still active. Martin Scorsese's like, I love this. Aren't you looking for another? They're the best.
New content.
Order canceled.
Aren't the greatest movies, greatest TV series ever? Sopranos. I saw a couple of people sent in some of your fellow
Order canceled.
From Gandolfini.
James Gandolfini.
I realized what a blow that. I miss that guy.
Order submitted.
So much on it. I said,
good guy.
I've watched Sopranos twice already. I think I might do it again.
Due for a third.
There's nothing else on. They throw crap up against the wall at Netflix. I'm canceling Netflix. Let's check the...
Order canceled.
Courtney's like, this is so crazy when it comes on. It's a Friday, too. Frank's like, get me out of here. We're going to get to him in a second. Futures right now up 90 points, 126 now on the NASDAQ. Treasuries, I think we saw the 10-year. We'll see if it changes with the CPI, but back above 4%. Gold, big drawdown today. At least it was worse earlier. It was down 80, but down $67, still above 4,000. And Bitcoin has rebounded from, I think it got to 107 or so earlier this week, back to 111 for more. on what's moving this morning. Let's get to Frank Holland. Sorry, Frank. Hey, Frank.
Hey, good morning, Joe. I'm a big Sopranos fan, by the way. We're going to get some movers this morning. We'll start with Procter & Gamble. Those shares up just about 4% after beating estimates in fiscal Q1, also maintaining its full-year sales and earnings guidance. The owner of brands like Gillette and Vicks saw the largest revenue growth in its beauty business at 6% year over year. Procter & Gamble also cut its full-year tariff impact, cut it in half. It was $800 million. Now it's down to $400 million. Shares up 4% right now. All right, Coinbase popping this morning after it was upgraded to overweight from neutral at JP Morgan. Analysts there are seeing opportunity for Coinbase with tokenization, calling it a $12 to $34 billion opportunity. JPM adds experimentation with USDC rewards could drive more users towards the company's Coinbase One subscription service. You can see shares are up just about 3% right now, year to date, up almost 60%. And a check of Intel, the pre-market leader in the S&P after beating revenue expectations for Q3. You can see shares are up just about 7% right now. The chip makers, this was the chip makers' first report since this landmark deal with the U.S. government in August. Intel's foundry business, a major focus for investors. That saw a 2% decline in revenue for the quarter, but its current quarter and revenue profit guidance were pretty much in line with estimates. Intel also warned it could be forced to revise its results. It consulted with the SEC on its accounting process for the deal with the U.S. government. However, it was unable to get an approval before the government shutdown. Shares of Intel right now up over 7%. Back over to you.
All right, Frank. Thank you.
Most retailers won't report third quarter results and holiday expectations until right before Thanksgiving. By then, many consumers will have already been starting their holiday shopping. Courtney Reagan joins us right now with some insights as we are now exactly 2 months from Christmas Eve. And Joe was saying before, oh, that's too early. I've already started my Christmas shopping. It's because you don't do any of the shopping.
That's right. That's why they call the last Saturday before Christmas Father's Day.
Right.
Because that's when all the dads hit the stores.
Right.
Right, when we panic.
Yeah.
Right. You don't think about these things because you don't have
And you can't get a parking space. At
Yet
a mall.
you haven't learned year after year.
No, I have not.
So the rest of us are thinking about this.
So we are thinking about it.
Shopping is like melatonin for me. It is.
It just makes you go to sleep.
I need to find a chair. Yes. When I'm with people,
it's like
oh
like
my
dopamine for me. I'm like, yes.
Is it really? I'm exhausted. I need a chair. My son's the same way. We're looking, where's a chair? Where's a chair?
Think of the treasures you can find.
Shopping makes you angry?
Makes me angry.
Oh, no.
It's exhausting.
Yeah.
When we walk in.
It's chores. They are chores that have to be completed.
That's right.
To pump in some oxygen.
I mean, retailers are trying to make that easy. You know, a lot of them are talking about, Kohl's especially says, look, we just want to make it easy. Life is stressful enough right now. But the other two words that retail executives have actually been saying over and over again, using to describe, not that one.
Leakage.
No, I know you love to say those, but retail executives don't love to say those words. Instead, they like these two words, which are somewhat opposing, resilient and choiceful.
Choiceful. I hear that all the time now.
The time, right?
Yeah, it's starting to drive me a little nuts.
It is. But that's what they're saying. Don't kill the messenger, right? This is just what they're saying. Consumers are resilient and choiceful. But many in the C-suite are arguing that both can be true at the same time.
We remain cautiously optimistic. I think what our team has brought in from a product standpoint, what we've got planned from a marketing standpoint, year to date is great. Last year was terrific. And we see that trend continuing.
Academy Sports also sells athletic apparel and equipment like Dick's Sporting Goods. It's in 21 states in the South and Southeast. And its CEO, Steve Lawrence, feels that based on recent spending patterns he's seen, his shopper will be focused on deals.
If we run the same promotion this year that we ran last year, there's a higher take rate on it. And so I think that's a sign customers are really savvy and they're figuring out when it's the right time to shop. Our belief is the customer is going to kind of aggregate their spending around those key kind of shopping moments on the calendar where they know they can get the best deals.
Well, Kohl's Chief Merchandising Officer and Chief Marketing Officer think their shopper will continue the pattern of trading down, like buying a lower-priced private label apparel item rather than a national brand. Now, the duo have a different expectation than Lawrence about when consumers will shop, specifically 15 times. Not Joe, but most consumers 15 times between November and January. And this is based on a survey that Kohl's did last year about the average number of store trips that shoppers took during the holiday season.
Store trips, not just buying online?
Not just buying online.
15 times?
Stores on average. Yes. So one common thread that these executives, none of them are concerned about inventory levels, seemingly putting to rest worries that we had some months ago that higher tariff rates could squeeze product availability. All of them that I spoke to said, yeah, I mean, no much more so than in a normal year, where those hot items might be in short supply, but we feel pretty good about what we can offer for the rest of the stock.
We talk about all these different markets. Like, is it a buyer's market or a seller's market for houses? Is it the job seekers or the job
Order
hirers
submitted.
market for jobs market? My guess, based on what you just told us, is that this holiday season is going to be a pretty good season for the shoppers because they're not worried about inventory. They have a lot of it. And they are reading that, shoppers are responding to bargains, which basically means shoppers are training
I'm
them
gonna try to
into
poop
putting
you for a CPI. I'll be back.
To a degree, and I thought it was really interesting what Academy Sports CEO said. He said, if we run the same promotion this year that we ran last year, we're getting a higher take rate. Consumers are picking up on it.
Yeah, but the Pavlovian response is, I have to run that deal more often.
Potentially, but what he said is what they're going to do to make sure that they're maintaining their profitability, their margins, but also giving consumers what they want, is that maybe they'll run that promotion, but maybe it'll be for 4 days instead of 10 days. Or maybe it'll be on a specific item in a brand, but not the entire brand itself. Trying to sort of make sure that they can maintain what they need to for their
they
business.
don't break their break entirely with
Exactly, but still give consumers what they need because they know that consumers are following closely enough that they won't miss it because, okay, if it's only 4 days, I got 4 days to get it.
NBC wrote an article 2 years ago that the hot word for CEOs is choiceful on earnings calls.
And
it is a word, but historically it meant fickle or making choices. Now it's evolved to mean selective and doing something in a competitive market, trying to pick out which one.
I agree. It is an annoying.
It's evolved. It's annoying, and I didn't even think it was a word.
It's a real word.
But
I looked it up too.
But it has changed.
This is a thing.
Doesn't mean fickle anymore.
But they say it way more. Than
they do.
Leakage, by the way. You say that a lot more than anybody else.
I told you what shrinkage. We know what that is. That's theft. Leakage.
You know what that is.
Leakage is when you're in an area where you got a lot of local retailers. You leave and go to another area to a big box place instead of going to your local merchants. That's leakage. But both words have other meanings, which really aren't great.
It was in the water.
Really aren't good. Yeah, exactly. The water was cold.
Very cold.
Very cold. And I had some.
In the pool.
And I ate some.
Was it pool? It was a pool.
And I ate some potato chips with Alestra.
Oh, that was the worst commercial ever.
Courtney, thank you.
This is Mia. She dreams of taking her boutique swimwear brand nationwide. With her business growing so fast, she needs fast funding to keep making waves. That's why Mia has U.S. Bank Business Essentials, a combination of checking and card payment processing, giving her access to funds typically in 24 hours. Because we love watching her make a splash. That's the power of Mia. And this is the power of us.
Goldman Sachs Active ETF GPIQ consistently seeks to deliver monthly income without sacrificing capital growth. Active ETFs from Goldman Sachs. Not just active, relentless.
Connections are everywhere, across global markets and sectors. Some are harder to see. But when you work with Barclays Investment Bank, you get an integrated team of experts who connect you with the financial data, insights, and solutions to reveal new possibilities. Barclays, powering possible.
And with AI, we can look at so much more than sales data. See that? Predictive analytics.
How long have you been doing this?
As long as we've been with BDO.
People who know BDO.
I got something coming up.
This fall, get ready to think fast and eat faster at Raising Cane's. With hand-battered and cooked-to-order chicken fingers. So grab a box combo and catch.
My name's Chad Powers.
What we got? 15 minutes? Ugh.
Chewy pharmacy order is on the way for Gouda. Meds verified by Chewy's licensed pharmacists, paired with his favorite cheese. Delivered by Chewy, devoured by Gouda. For quality meds, for life with pets, there's Chewy Pharmacy.
From Becky's home state, Langford's here. Government shutdown is now in its 24th day. She's got like 8 home, and
so do you.
And the
Mr.
shutdown will extend.
Massachusetts, California, Colorado.
Can I read this, please?
Cincinnati.
The shutdown is going to extend in next week. The Senate has left town for the weekend without a deal. Why even stay after yesterday? You can't even pay the federal employees. Joining us now for the latest, Senator James Langford of Oklahoma. He's vice chair of the Senate Republican Conference. I watched the explanation on that, and it's just
tortured.
Trump is a bad person. Is all that was the answer to why we can't pay the federal employees?
Well, I think specifically they said they didn't trust Donald Trump to decide.
What if you pay? So what if you pay half of them? Is that a horrible?
Pay as many as we can. We should be open.
Fetterman said straight up, how can you vote against
paying people that work?
Who we are requiring to work.
Well, they did. Right?
They did, and that's been the challenge we've had along. We said over and over again, 13 times we've had a continuing resolution where we've got to the same moment. In the last 13 times, we voted to say, okay, let's keep negotiating, let's keep it open on it. And Democrats this time just say they're mad at Trump, and so they're not going to do it at this point. And the crazy thing is they keep saying, well, this is about healthcare piece. Well, in 2013, as folks recall, Republicans were mad about Obamacare. We were pretty clear about it, and we had a big government shutdown. It was shorter than this one, and Democrats at that time said, we will not negotiate on health care while the government is closed. Well, now it's literally the opposite on it, that we're saying we're not going to negotiate on health care. Health care is incredibly complicated. You can't do it while people are not getting SNAP benefits, people are not getting paid, air traffic controllers aren't getting paid. Well, you can't sit there and say, we'll do this little tweak, and that's going to be enough. It's not enough. So let's actually have a real conversation about all these issues, but not while there's a shutdown.
Couldn't we have been involved now in negotiations if we had done the CR how long was it, 3 weeks?
Yeah, 3 weeks, more than 3 weeks.
If we had done it 3 weeks ago, we'd be well into the appropriations negotiations for doing something by November.
So
now it's almost too late to do anything.
It is. So we brought 3 appropriation bills that we'd already passed in the Senate and said, let's conference these with the House. And Democrats said, no, we're not going to do anything at all. We brought the defense appropriation bill, and they said, nope, we're not going to discuss defense on this. We brought up, let's pay federal workers at least. Let's do that. And they're like, nope, we're not going to do anything.
And they've done the defense bill every other time.
We've done the defense bill.
And it was 27-3 to get out of committee.
The 3 bills that we'd already passed that we were sitting to conference with the House, all passed unanimously. I mean, these are not controversial. This is just them digging in and saying, literally, we're not going to do anything. We're not going to pay anybody. We're not going to do anything.
Where's the off-ramp? Because at this point, you're talking about air traffic delays, planes that were grounded, not only here in Newark, LaGuardia, I think somewhere else, too. It was Houston, Reagan National. I mean, this is the pain point where people who are not following along on a daily basis are just going to get mad about this. How does this break? How does this end?
So some folks literally are saying, I'm not affected. I don't feel it at all. Anyone who's flying right now, that's in the back of their head on it right now. Anyone who's a federal employee, I would tell you, the federal family, I know, both the husband and the wife both work for a federal agency. She is pregnant with their first child, and literally neither of them have a paycheck right now. That story's repeated all over the country. This has a very real effect for a lot of families on it, and I know the Democratic whip in the House said that families are going to have to suffer, so we have leverage. But I just don't agree. They had nothing to do with this. I have a bill that I put out last year. We literally had 57 votes for it that would end government shutdowns forever. Just take it completely off the table. So
that's the right way to do it, so nobody has this.
Correct. It's a total disarmament on it, so we can't do it, and it's very simple. It just says if we get to the end of a fiscal moment like this, and we'll have another one like it, we have an automatic continuing resolution that kicks in, but members of Congress can't travel. We're in session 7 days a week. There's a vote scheduled every single day, and you can't do any other bill other than appropriations. It literally just locks you in the box and says, Congress, finish your job. but the American people are held harmless with it. So put the pressure where the pressure should be on it, and don't have federal workers and everybody flying public and everybody wondering if members of the military are getting paid. That's ridiculous, and it improves our image on the world stage. It shows
10
we
minute
can actually get
boys.
stuff done.
If you believe, and I do, but if you believe what Senator Schumer's true motivations are, and he's got issues. He does. He has issues with the left flank and,
Right,
and him being
issues.
challenged. So he's got political issues. But can you tell me exactly what Democrats actually do want? Because Leader Jeffries is going to be on, and I'd like to ask him, tell me exactly what you do want. Do they want the $1.5 trillion with all the bells?
That's what they brought. Yeah.
That's what they brought.
That's
Do
what
they
they brought.
really want that? Do they want a backroom deal, which that's what people say, between Senator Schumer and the president and Senator Thune and Mike Johnson? Do they want an extension of all 10 years of the Obamacare subsidy for $345 billion? Do they want 1 year for whatever it is, $40 billion? What do they want? What do they want?
All of those they've asked for. All those asked for.
But what do they really want for us to do?
It depends on who you ask. There are some that are in the Democrat Senate that would say they're never going to vote for a single extension for anything because they need to show their resistance to Trump. This is all about showing their bona fides being on the far
When you
left.
watch those, I mean, I watched some of the No Kings thing, and I mean, Fox makes a living of going and asking the people, what is it, why are you here? And not one person really could say anything except Orange Man Bad. That's really all any of them could say. But, so it's just a show of resistance, but there's nothing on the other side of the...
different opinions. I mean, they have...
They do.
Well, this East Wing, this demolished East
Order
Wing.
canceled.
I get it. But the funny thing about this is they're going to say, well, we have a strong difference of opinion on it, so we're shutting the government down. Well, we have
Order
a very strong
submitted.
difference of opinion with President Biden on immigration policy. We never shut the government down on President Biden. 13 times we had a moment like this in his presidency. We didn't do this to all those folks that were unaffected. So the key thing that we're trying to be able to drive here is let's keep the government open while we're negotiating. It's a big shock. Republicans and Democrats don't agree on things. But why are we punishing people that shouldn't be punished for it in the meantime on it? And the healthcare piece on it, they've been all over the place on what they're looking for. And they're finally coming back out and saying, well, okay, let's just do 1 year. Your latest piece, let's just do 1 year. And our basic question is, okay, well, let's talk about this. In my state, the Affordable Care Act and all the folks that are on that healthcare program over the 6-year period, the premiums went up 200%. At the same time, commercial insurance went up 29%. There's a structural problem there. The more money we dump into it doesn't fix the structural problem. And for them to just over and over again say, just give us more money, just give us more money on it, doesn't fix the real issue that's there. And so this is not as simple as just throw more money at it and that's all we need. It's a real problem.
So maybe we'll play a soundbite of what you said for Leader Jeffries or something. I don't know. How do I ask him, or Becky ask him exactly what it is? I guess it's just, what do you want? What will it take to get
If his ask is just to be able to extend the premiums, which again, this is not about the Obamacare. The basic Obamacare is still there. This is above and beyond. This is something they tacked on during COVID, saying, hey, it's an emergency for COVID, so we need even
Becky
more.
points out it's a way they did it for budget constraints, like the same way that the Republicans
Well, if you actually read the text on it, it says temporary medical emergency addition.
But it helped with the budget
Correct,
too.
correct on it. But yeah, it was a thing they had, but it expired at the end of this year. So I think the key things is there fraud in the program, on the bottom part of the program? Because there's no doubt there is, that money is going to insurance companies, to people that don't even know they have the policy.
How would you
but it
attack
helps
the fraud?
system.
I mean,
All right,
you
6
hire
minutes.
federal workers
The
to
most
look
simple way to be able to do that is to be able to put a premium cost at all, even if it was a $20 premium. When it's a zero premium, an insurance company can contact somebody and say, you want free coverage on something. They sign them all up for it. They don't even know they have it. They don't use it. We have a very high percentage of folks that don't use that low income stuff. So put some kind of premium on it and immediately.
Is $20 a number you'd actually agree with?
I'm not negotiating with Hakeem today, but I would say, yeah, there has to be something that's there. So it's not just a zero piece. And even Obamacare original wasn't a zero. That was added during COVID to be able to do that. The other end of it is they've got folks that it's uncapped on the top.
Yeah.
You've got people well in excess of 400% of poverty that are getting subsidies. You've got folks that make $150,000 a year that are getting Affordable Care Act subsidies. Well, that would tell me it's actually not affordable. So we don't want uncapped on it. We definitely don't want fraud on the bottom of it. I would say a lot of Republicans are saying this was designed to be able to go around Hyde protections the way that it was shaped as a tax credit piece going to insurance companies so that they could have elective abortion funding going into this fund without it having to hide protections. That would be one of those other issues. Say everything else has hide protections. Why did you create something intentionally to be able to go around it? And then we got to deal with the real root cause on this. Why is the Affordable Care Act, why is that particular thing on the marketplace 200% increase in commercial insurance, 29% increase?
What was the time period on that?
6-year time period, 2013 to 2019. That's just in my state in Oklahoma.
Yeah, in Becky's state.
Yeah. In Becky State, you know,
One of my states.
But you moved to Indiana. You know what happened last night when the Oklahoma City Thunder played the Indiana Pacers last night?
Oh my God, she's like, I don't know,
overtime.
like your mother, your sister, your mother. You didn't know what to do with.
Fan.
Well, our second double overtime of the season. Played 2 games, 2 double overtimes, 2 wins on it.
Yeah, but that was totally fixed.
Yeah, well, that's somebody else.
Yeah, I'm kidding. Here's my prediction, and I'm gonna, give the benefit of the doubt to the Democrats. Next time, it's either West.
Yeah, it does look like it want to die.
Josh Shapiro or
15 minutes is overbought. It looks like it's curving down. Same thing with 3 minutes. So we might get a dump and hopefully we pump at open. I don't know.
Bring people in from Europe.
I hope they get rug pull. Under 25K again. Would be nice.
Love all. You know that's going to happen.
The Truman balcony was added. In fact, Truman gutted the whole White House. He left only the exterior.
Jefferson started it with
adding the portico.
Yeah, exactly.
So
who put in the bowling alley?
Well, and
who did that? So
the bowling alley was actually
Nixon.
No, I think that was Nixon.
Yeah, it might have been Nixon.
I think Nixon covered up the pool and then put in the bowling alley.
Senator, it's a pleasure to have you in studio. And what are you in town for?
I've got multiple meetings. I had multiple meetings all day today. Then I'm getting home as fast as I possibly can.
Okay, good. Well, next time you're here, please
All
let
right.
us know. We'll do it again.
3 minutes.
It's great to visit with y'all.
Thank you.
Thanks.
So to come this morning, finally, we're going to get a read on inflation. Consumer Price Index data is set to be released at 8:30. That's in 3.5 minutes' time. We'll be right back.
Small business owners, you got to stop doing what you're doing. Why? Because bookkeeping sucks. You shouldn't be doing it yourself. So go to Zendu.com, and what you're going to get there is a trusted financial partner, so you can do what you do best. Run your business. Zendu.com.
If there's one thing I've learned over 3 decades of investing, it's this. What you don't own matters just as much.
I'm so nervous.
That's why I've always been drawn to the idea of upgrading your portfolio, replacing overhyped or outdated names with stronger, lesser-known opportunities. It's the thinking behind a strategy I've come to rely on, one I call sell this, buy that. I'm Eric Fry, and as a stock analyst, author, and futurist, I've shown my followers how to move out of big-name, well-loved stocks that are on the verge of melting down and into ones with the potential to deliver serious upside. It's the strategy that helped me win the Portfolios with Purpose investing competition, beating out some of the most respected names on Wall Street and outperforming the market by more than tenfold. And it's the same kind of thinking that's helped me build a long-term track record, including
Yeah, I want to flush, but I don't know.
that have gone on to return 1,000% or more. I put together a brand new free presentation where I walk through some of my latest.
It's trying to pump up.
These calls
A little
are
shit.
contrarian. I'll be the first to admit that. But if you're open to viewing the markets through a different lens, here's a quick preview of what you'll see I'm recommending today when you visit the website right here on your screen. Sell Amazon. Buy a little-known e-commerce company that's much like buying Amazon in 2005. Sell Bank of America. Buy an online fintech platform that's capturing an entirely new generation of banking customers. Sell Tesla. Buy a little-known robotics company that's already miles ahead of Tesla.
All right, here we
in
go.
the AI robotics race.
1 minute. I'll do mine in like 15 seconds before the 8:30.
On our website at no cost. Or simply open the camera on your phone and point it at the QR code you see on your screen right now. When you do, I've got a total of 7 free sell this, buy that recommendations, including names, tickers, and
That suck is
analysis
pumping.
waiting for you at no cost.
For plant-based, healthy blood pressure support, there's one brand at Walmart that stands above the rest. It's Super Beets by Human. Discover why SuperBeats is the #1 cardiologist recommended beat brand for heart health support at your nearest Walmart today.
Order filled. Order filled. Order filled. Order filled.
What the fuck? What the fuck? No, fucking bulenox not working. Piece of shit.
Since the government shut down.
Wow.
Order
CPI,
canceled. Order canceled.
Did we know how much
Target
we would miss?
filled.
All those
The numbers, the data? No.
that we do.
Feeling a bit of a
Yeah.
What a
I know.
pump.
Yeah. We
Order
are.
filled.
We're jonesing for some actual government data, and we're going to get it today. The future's ahead of that.
Wow.
This week. I don't know if it's AI or earnings have been pretty good, but for whatever reason, the worst case scenario has not played out. And we got nervous about a week or two ago with the China resumption of that. Look at treasuries right now. I think we are. This could change. Rick will tell us about that. He is standing by, Rick Santelli, that is, at the CME. You're excited, Rick?
Yeah, excited isn't the word. The market should be excited too. Here's our late but coming out September read on the Consumer Price Index. Headline number
That's so
of
wrong.
1/10 cooler than both rear view mirror and what we were expecting. And if we look at the stripping out of food and energy known as core, it comes in also a bit less than expected.
Yeah, I can't even trade bulenox. I don't get it.
3/10. Our last look was up 3/10. Here's the Moneyball numbers. Year over year, 3%. And even though it's less than the 3.1 we were expecting, it's hotter than 2.9. And after all, it's got a 3 handle. And if we look at CPI year over year ex food and energy, it also comes in at 3%. We're also expecting 3.1, but last look was 3.1, so it cooled a bit. So we're seeing interest rates move down and stocks move up. You may be asking why. An easy answer, because it's less than expectations. Is it less than the Fed's target of 2%? No. Which, in my opinion, that
Order
fact will
submitted.
rise above all the issues of the day at some point. But yes, we do see rates moving a bit lower. Ultimately, this is a very important number because the market, without any data points, has been pretty much viewed on the notion that the labor market is slowing, and that really is a good thing if you're looking for the Fed cycle to continue its rate cuts. Now, how does this figure in? I can't speak for Fed officials, but if you really have an agnostic view and you look at these numbers, the last thing you think about is we're closing in on the Fed's target. Joe and the gang, back to you.
In a nutshell, that's exactly what people said leading up to this, Rick. It's going to be higher inflation, but it's not going to be high enough to cause the Fed to change any of its plans. And that's what. And we saw something even better. Even if it was 3-1, I think that would have been the case. But even a 10th, I mean, these aren't huge moves, but definitely saw an uptick in the markets, in the equity markets, Rick.
Absolutely. And Joe, you know, when I look at stocks, don't
Order
you guess, don't they say, wow, it's getting a little frothy, it's getting a little frosty. My theory is, my epiphany is that the only honest metric we're getting about the U.S. economy now, in my opinion, is the stock market. Because I think all the professionals, I think they look at many things through the prism that's affected politically. And I think a lot of the weakness that we see showing up comes from surveys. And now I have a huge mistrust of surveys. You know what I trust? Credit card activity. And it's going pretty well. Wall Street Journal talks today about it's up over 7.5% year over year. It's outpacing inflation. And guess what? Joe, when you go to a restaurant, Becky, when you go to a restaurant, you get your bill. Doesn't it say you get a discount if you pay cash? My restaurant sources say that a lot of people are doing that. There's another group that's spending that doesn't even probably get counted.
Well, and the big issue too.
Now he's got to trade his bulenox and copy trade.
Or electronic, because with the new tax legislation, if you get tipped electronically, it counts up differently than if you're tipped by cash.
Right.
That's
Copy
interesting.
Rick, the stock market has been telling us what to believe ever since Liberation Day. The stock market said this is not going to be the end of the world. Like so many, like almost unanimously, business reporters that tariffs were the end of the world, and here we are. You know, up, what are we up 36% since then? Right. All right.
Yep.
All right. Thank you, Rick Santelli. Santelli, join us now. Oh, you're staying with us, Rick. Good. Michael
Not going anywhere, Joe.
All right. Good. Michael Contopoulos, Richard Bernstein Advisors, Deputy Chief.
Look at that drop.
Nomura, Chief Economist for.
Yeah,
Sorry, General.
I think the platform's still down.
This is probably, David, this is probably about what you were expecting, is it not?
Yeah, it's even a little bit softer. And so that's great news for the Fed in terms of their ability to cut in October, which didn't really seem that much in doubt, but also to follow the dot
Order
plot
submitted.
in December. You've had some people on the Fed who are on the more hawkish side of things who've since September pushed back on what seemed like a dovish shift. And of course, we haven't gotten very much data since then, of course, but what little data we do have now from just now does appear to make it seem like inflation fears are at least a little bit, we're a little bit too high given what we're getting in so far.
So the market has been strong, Michael, and Rick makes that point. Any AI tailwind that makes it less fundamentally based than we think?
No, I think, listen, fundamentals, Joe, are pretty strong right now, and there's no doubt about it. You know, the economy is not weak, per se. I mean, you've had pockets of weakening. I really do believe we're in a K-shaped
And I think we're going to dump
economy.
later at
Lower end is
open.
Maybe not quite as strong as the higher end. Today's number for
We'll
me
see.
is actually about broadening more than it is about AI, although probably the first step forward is going to be more about AI and some of the momentum plays, just because they are juiced by liquidity, and we do have easy
Order
financial
submitted.
conditions, and this will sort of portend more of that. But, you know, I think you can make an argument that you get some broadening here, and it's not just about AI.
I mean, it is kind of, you know, latest is, Rick, we're not talking to Canada at all. We're so mad that you did a unedited or an edited version of Ronald Reagan, and 2 weeks ago it was 100% tariffs on China, and all the market's done really is shrug that off and head higher.
Well, is it shrugging it off, or is it going along with the notion that it believes the president and the administration will use their strange style but come up ultimately successful? Listen, I don't think the administration's necessarily bluffing. I think what the market's concentrating on is that Canada needs the U.S. more than the U.S.
Order
needs more
filled.
than Canada. China needs U.S. more than the U.S. needs China. That's what I think the markets are focusing on, not so much all the
Order
issues with
filled.
Trump that the media seems to focus on more directly.
Right. So
Order
guys, do you
submitted.
give each of your view on how many cuts we get and when they come.
Yeah, we think there's going to be 2 more cuts this year, so 25 bips in both October and December. And then we see 3 more cuts next year, 1 more in March under the Powell Fed, and then 2 more when a new Fed chair, presumably somebody considerably more dovish than Powell himself, takes over.
Who do you have your money on for that?
I think that it's probably most likely to be a Trump insider, and so
Hassett?
Kevin Hassett, Steve Myron, who's currently a governor, these both seem like realistic possibilities.
Waller was early on the whole cutting thing, though, right? He's a true believer, Michael.
He is. I mean, you have a little bit of both on the Fed right now. I actually would take a little bit of the other side from David.
Do that.
You know, certainly the Fed's going to cut in October. We'll see about December. I'm not, you know, calling December as being a sure thing quite yet. For me, this rhymes quite a bit with September of last year, where the Fed got all worked up that the labor market had tripped the SOM rule and went ahead and cut interest rates for the first time ever into a really strong economy and accelerating earnings growth environment.
A half a point on unemployment causes a...
That's right.
Yeah.
And you know, this seems very similar. You have weakening labor market, but not a weak labor market. You've got inflation that, regardless of missing today, was above the Fed's target. You've got some of the easiest financial conditions in history, given where CPI is today. You know, I think the Fed could cut in October, and that could ultimately prove to be a bit of a mistake. Bill Dudley wrote about this yesterday and lead to a tighter than expected Fed as we go into year end of next year.
All right, both gentlemen, thanks. Rick, so you think eventually we're not getting a 2 and the Fed's going to notice that? So you think down the road this is not all roses, all bed of roses?
Yeah, listen, I think that no matter what the Fed does, and I don't think that the Fed's necessarily going to ease because of Trump's picks, the market still can push back. The market yields are still higher than they were on that first September 24 cut. The 10-year was in the 360s. The market has a life of its own despite the Fed.
All right. Thank you all, gentlemen. Up next, we have Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries will join us. Squawk Box will be right back.
Nuveen invests with the foresight and vision to anticipate the
Connection
needs of
lost.
future generations. To build strong portfolios that deliver lasting legacies. To innovate and adapt for what's just around the corner. Because after 125 years of yesterdays, Nuveen knows your ultimate stakeholder is tomorrow. Nuveen, invest like the future is watching.
Hi, I'm Cody. I wear a lot of different hats. Today I'm a firefighter, I'm also a police officer, and at the end of the day, I'm a Tractor Supply team member.
Tractor Supply's Hometown Heroes program honors all who serve, and that makes me really proud.
When veterans come in, it's thank you for your service. I appreciate everything you did.
Order
From all of us
submitted.
out here,
Order
to all our
canceled.
hometown heroes, for your service, for your patriotism, thank you.
It's about political points. It's terrible. Politics seeps into everything.
What do you mean? Talk about climate change or the economy or, of course, elections.
You can't find out what we should really expect to happen.
But of course you can.
Go to IBKR's forecast trader.
Lucid would be good, the best one I like. Lucid, then My Funded Futures, and then Apex.
Put your money where your mouth is. Your shipping manager left to find themselves, leaving you lost. You need to hire.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. Sponsored jobs on Indeed are 2.5 times faster to first hire. Visit Indeed.com/hire.
To throw the best tailgates in Texas, you need the highest quality beef and HEB certified meat cutters like me.
And me. We hand cut and grind fresh beef 7 days a week.
High quality beef and custom cuts. No one does tailgating like HEB.
A Chewy order is on the way for Jaws, who never lets go of what he loves.
Ooh, look at that
Uses
drop.
Chewy to get him everything he needs to keep loving life, one mouthful at a time, for low prices. For life with pets, there's Chewy.
All right, let's turn to Capitol Hill for the latest on the government shutdown, now in its 24th day. Joining us right now is House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries of New York. Leader, thank you for being with us this morning. I think the big question is, how do we get out of this?
That's an important question, and we continue to maintain that we will sit down with our Republican colleagues anytime, any place, here at the Capitol, or go back to the White House to enact a bipartisan spending agreement that actually meets the needs of the American people, improves their quality of life, lowers costs in an environment where inflation continues to move in the wrong direction. And we also need to decisively address the Republican healthcare crisis that is crushing people all across the country, particularly now that tens of millions of people are receiving notices that their healthcare premiums are about to skyrocket.
There was an op-ed in Roll Call recently that was pretty interesting on this. It said what you are asking the Republicans to do right now when they control the White House, the Senate, and the House is effectively what the Democrats could not do when they controlled all three of those heads of government themselves. The 10-year setup for this, for these, or the 3-year setup for the expiration of these credits was intentionally put in. It was put in when you controlled the White House, the House, and the Senate. You couldn't get it passed for longer. And so this is a setup that kind of your own creation that you all couldn't extend beyond that. Now you want the Republicans to do something you didn't do when you were in power?
It's not a setup beyond what we could do. We extended the Affordable Care Act tax credits in 2022 for 3 years. The program is working. It's providing health care to tens of millions of people in an affordable way, and it should be continued. It's interesting to us that Republicans decided that they would prefer to permanently extend massive tax breaks for their billionaire donors in their one big ugly bill, which also at the same time dramatically increased the debt and enacted the largest cut to Medicaid in American history, but refused to consider extending Affordable Care Act tax credits that actually benefit working class Americans, everyday Americans, and middle class Americans. Their priorities are misplaced, and as Democrats, we're going to continue to fight for the American people all across the country, in rural America, urban America, small town America, the heartland of America, and of course black and brown communities throughout America, all of whom are being devastated by this Republican health care crisis.
Leader Jeffries, we were just joined by Senator James Lankford from Oklahoma. He's a Republican, and his concern with this was that the ACA subsidies aren't helping bring costs down overall. He said that in his state, Oklahoma, if you look over 6 years from 2013 to 2019, premiums for ACA plans were up by 200% versus premiums being up by 29% for commercial plans in his state. His concern is that there's something that needs to be fixed within this. Some of the things he threw out would be things like limiting fraud by just requiring that there be at least a $20 premium or some premium that's put down instead of zero premium so that people get enrolled in things without even knowing that they're enrolled in some of these programs. What do you say to that?
We've made clear in the House that we will consider anything that emerges from the Senate in good faith in a bipartisan way that both reopens the government while at the same time addresses this health care crisis and extends the Affordable Care Act tax credits in a meaningful way. The 90% or so of the people who benefit from these Affordable Care Act tax credits make $63,000 per year or less. And a significant number of small businesses and entrepreneurs across the country rely upon the Affordable Care Act tax credits in order to provide health insurance for themselves and for their families. So this is an issue that needs to be addressed. In fact, we know that red state residents actually are disproportionately higher represented in terms of the Affordable Care Act tax credits than any other part of the country. And so we're fighting for the American people here, and hopefully we can find a bipartisan path forward.
It's such a complex issue, Leader. And what we're seeing now with the shutdown, some real effects starting to happen, I guess. And that's where people just separate out all the points that you're making right now about what's wrong with the healthcare system and when and how you fix it, and when you're able to have those discussions and those negotiations. And maybe it shouldn't be done by shutting using leverage, which shuts the government down, where you don't really have time to do it effectively. This is what Senator Lankford, just talking about history, this is what he said when Republicans were going to do it about Obamacare.
Well, in 2013, as folks recall, Republicans were mad about Obamacare. We were pretty clear about it, and we had a big government shutdown. It was shorter than this one, and Democrats at that time said, we will not negotiate on health care while the government is closed. Well, now it's literally the opposite on it. That we're saying we're not going to negotiate on health care. Health care is incredibly complicated. You can't do it while people are not getting SNAP benefits, people are not getting paid, air traffic controllers aren't getting paid. Well, you can't sit there and say, we'll do this little tweak and that's going to be enough. It's not enough. So let's actually have a real conversation about all these issues, but not while there's a shutdown.
And I think it's possible, Leader, that Republicans all feel that way, and we're just going to be stuck here until some really bad things happen.
Yeah, we haven't shut the government down. Donald Trump is the president. Republicans control the House and the Senate. And what we've repeatedly made clear is that we would not support a partisan Republican spending bill that continues to gut the health care of the American people in an environment where Republicans already enacted the largest cut to Medicaid in American history. Hospitals, nursing homes, and community-based health centers are closing because of Republican policies in their one big ugly bill all across the country. Medicare is facing a $536 billion cut at the end of the year unless Congress acts, again connected to the one big ugly bill. And now Republicans are refusing to even consider extending the Affordable Care Act tax credits when open enrollment starts on November 1st. This is a now issue.
But Leader Jeffries, you kind of conflated a spending bill with a clean CR. It's only 24 pages. It keeps the government open at this point. And the House passed it. It's ready to go. The Senate has it. I know that the Republicans control everything, but you know how the filibuster works, and God forbid Republicans, fold on the filibuster, because it'll be used, both parties will use it against the other. It's one of the last safeguards that make the Senate different than the House. And the only reason the Senate can't do it is purely because of Democrats. And you had one of your colleagues in the Senate say, this is the only leverage we have. People are going to get hurt. This is the only leverage we have to get what we want on health care. That's a bad look.
Yeah, this is not about leverage. And by the way, if the votes of Democratic senators are required, then of course there should be a bipartisan discussion about enacting a spending bill that is designed to actually make life better for the American people, lower the high cost of living in an environment where Donald Trump and Republicans promised that costs were going to go down on day one. Costs aren't going down. Inflation is moving in the wrong direction. The Trump tariffs are causing thousands of dollars of additional expense on everyday Americans. Grocery costs have gone up. Housing costs are going up. Electricity bills are through the roof. And now tens of millions of people are facing dramatically increased health care premiums. In some instances, $1,000 or $2,000 more per month. These are working class people. This is unaffordable. And of course, it's a crisis that is before us right now.
But what changed from when the Democrats said we will not negotiate when the government is shut down on health care? Not now, reopen the government, then we'll negotiate. That happened in 2013. What happened, what changed since then to where we are now, where you can use a government shutdown to extract concessions from Republicans?
We are not using a government shutdown to extract any concessions. We want to reopen the government immediately. Donald Trump has refused to meet with Democrats over the last 24 days. He spent more time on the golf course than he has actually talking to Democrats on Capitol Hill. He's found time to demand that the Department of Injustice give him $230 million in taxpayer money. He's found time to bail out a right-wing wannabe dictator in Argentina with $40 billion. He's found time to demolish the East Wing of the White House in the most horrific way possible because he wants to erect a ballroom so he can be celebrated like a king. He's found time for all of these different things, but somehow can't be bothered to reopen the government or can't be bothered to find a dime to extend the Affordable Care Act tax credits.
Okay, let's talk about some of these issues. You bring up inflation, and you're right to do so. We just got the CPI. It was not quite as hot as had been anticipated, but inflation is higher than the Fed's target range or than anybody feels comfortable with. The problem is inflation is often caused by government spending. Additional government spending is not likely to get it to the point where we are going to see less inflation out there. How do you handle that?
This is not additional government spending.
It is additional government spending. You're looking for another $350 billion of additional government spending over the next 10 years?
That's just with the Obamacare.
We're actually extending a tax credit that currently exists. And what's interesting is that in that one big ugly bill where Republicans raised the debt ceiling by about over $4 trillion, exploded the deficit and the debt, but then they used a policy framework called current policy baseline, which is to say that if you just extend current policy, it has no fiscal impact. So the question is, why are Republicans willing to use that approach? So the question is, why are Republicans willing to use that approach when it comes to massive tax breaks?
Like I said, I'm not a big fan with how any of the government I'm not a big fan of how any elected officials tend to use figures to tell us what we want to hear with some of these things. Additional government spending, though, is going to mean worse numbers when it comes to inflation. Is there a way to get everybody together and try and find ways to fix the base problems with healthcare and try and make sure that people are being given the help that they need along the way? It seems like it's a really tough thing to do when the government's been shut for 24 days, that is not a great situation, that we're asking other people to bear the pain.
We have a broken healthcare system, and it obviously needs to be fixed in a decisive way. But there are steps that should be taken right now with respect to the reality that tens of millions of Americans are receiving notices as we speak, indicating that their healthcare premiums are about to skyrocket in ways that will bankrupt them or deprive them of the ability to go see a doctor when they need one, when their children or when their families need one. This is not an artificially made up thing. November 1st, open enrollment begins. The notices are going out. Marjorie Taylor Greene agrees that something needs to be done with respect to the Affordable Care Act tax credits, and traditional conservatives in the House agree. They just sent a letter to Mike Johnson.
Hopefully we
indicating that
drop at
this is an issue
open.
that needs to be confronted. It's
There
not
are
made up.
problems.
It's real.
Agreed.
Getting there.
There are problems.
That's a first for you, leader Marjorie Taylor Greene. I love it. You got to love the irony there. Hey, you know what else has passed after November 1st? The election for mayor in New York. Come on. Are you ready? Are you ready to endorse Mamdani yet, Leader Jeffries?
As I've repeatedly said, Joe, I'll have more to say about the mayor's race when I have more to say about the mayor's race.
Today's the day for more. This is part of the future you were talking about last time you were
Connection
on. This
lost.
could be the future that you were talking about when you could do it. No.
Well, let me say that, listen, I'm going to continue to lean into the principle as Democrats that we believe in a strong floor and no... Well, listen, affordability, of course, is the top issue for the country. But as Democrats, listen, we believe in a country that brings about a strong floor and no ceiling. You work hard, you play by the rules. There should be no ceiling to your success. That's what I believe in. But at the same period of time, there should be a strong floor anchored in things like Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid.
Was that an endorsement? That almost sounded like you're easing into. So that's what Mamdani, A equals B equals C. That's what he stands for. Therefore, you're endorsing Mamdani. Is that? Have I got that?
No, that's not what I'm saying. That's not what I'm saying. But what I will say is that I do think that he took an important step in indicating he plans to retain Police Commissioner Jessica Tisch, who's doing a great job by all accounts.
Okay, so that's getting you closer and closer. We appreciate, appreciate as always, speaking with you today, Leader.
Thank you.
Okay. Breaking news, the U.S. Social Security Administration announcing that the cost of living adjustment for 2026 will be 2.8%. Social Security retirement benefits will increase by about $56 a month on average, starting in January. Squawk Box will be right back.
Trading at Schwab is powered by Ameritrade, giving traders even more ways to sharpen their skills with tailored education. Get an expanding library filled with new online videos, webcasts, articles, courses, and more. All crafted just for traders. And with guided learning paths, stacked with content curated to fit your unique goals. You can spend less time searching and more time learning. Trade brilliantly with Schwab.
Seabass, your mom told you to find a job.
Hello?
You made a company instead. To keep your growing going, you needed an advisor built for the middle market. Accounting, advisory, insurance, and more. Seabass, insights that impact.
Welcome to the Now Way to Network. They switched to Juniper's AI native network. And now everyone's so productive, they're operating at a higher gear. That's the Now Way to Network at work, with real AI, putting you in the fast lane.
Hi, I'm Cody. I wear a lot of different hats. Today I'm a firefighter, I'm also a police officer, and at the end of the day, I'm a Tractor Supply team member.
Tractor Supply's Hometown Heroes program honors all who serve, and that makes me really proud.
When veterans come in, it's thank you for your service. I appreciate everything you did.
From all of us out here to all our hometown heroes, for your service, for your patriotism, thank you.
I can't wait till they dub this shit at open.
Get ready to think fast and eat faster at Raising Cane's. With hand-battered
Order filled.
Wow, what a drop. That's like 100, over 100 points.
Combo and catch.
My name's Chad Powers.
Order canceled.
Welcome to the greatest show on earth.
Order submitted.
Oh, yes, sir. It is all quite astonishing. Is already rolling now for this new season.
Happening on Squawk Box this morning, the Consumer Price Index showing inflation rising, but not by as much as predicted. CPI was up by 0.3% on the month. That puts the annual rate at 3% versus the 3.1% the street had been anticipating. Gasoline was the biggest contributor on the upside. It was up by 4.1%. Procter & Gamble beating earnings estimates this morning. CEO John Moeller was on Squawk Box and said that he is seeing a challenging consumer and geopolitical environment. That stock is up by 3.5% in the pre-market. And President Trump has stopped trade negotiations with Canada. He said because of a commercial featuring parts of a speech President Ronald Reagan gave explaining why tariffs were bad. But Canada cut out the parts of the speech where President Reagan said they were sometimes necessary.
Final check, for today, I hope. Let's check the market, God willing, every day. No one gets more than a day at a time. Right back there we have up about 200. They've moderated a little since after we got what was just barely a cooler inflation read on the first government report that we've gotten in quite a while. But so far, so good. Got the S&P up about 39 points. Treasuries moved the opposite way, at least yields did, 3.98 now. And then we saw gold is down and Bitcoin is back up a little.
But the expectation is this clears the way for Fed cuts.
For the Fed to continue.
Yeah.
For the Fed to continue. And we will continue talking about a 4-day work week because it's going to be Monday before you know it. So join us. Squawk on the Streets next.
Friday morning. Welcome to Squawk on the Street. I'm Carl Quintanilla with Jim Cramer at Post 9 of the New York Stock Exchange. Favors on assignment. Stocks do look to add to about a 2% gain for the week as we finally get some government data. September CPI comes in about a tenth light, although both headline and core year-on-year now have a 3 handle. Yields haven't quite taken out Thursday's lows. Our roadmap begins with the first major economic number since the government shut down. Latest CPI number slightly lower than expected. The president terminating all trade talks with Canada over this ad featuring the voice of Reagan. And shares of Intel rallying in the pre-market. A sales beat in its first earnings number since the government became a top shareholder. Let's begin, though, with market reaction to CPI. Jim, Shelter doing quite a bit of heavy lifting on this one.
Oh, gee. Look, I find that some of these things, when we listen, you listen to Phil LeBeau, and airlines are booming. So there you go, airline fares. You look at Taylor Swift with the biggest tour ever, and there you go again. You got recreation. I mean, there's just everything, single thing has a problem. Steak, poultry, but it's not out of control. And I regard this as a not out of control CPI, and that may be enough.
So for the Fed, they can do an insurance cut next week. Hopefully by the end of the year, shutdown's over, and this hasn't gotten worse?
I don't think so.
That's the hope.
That's the hope. And look, when you listen to Mr. Mueller from Procter & Gamble, what is the main theme of it? It's not necessarily the growth, which is fine. It's that the tariffs didn't cost that much. I had Richard Tobin on from Dover. It's a real diversified company. Tariffs didn't cost that much. These are things that are working. And then you've got the president on Truth Social saying, congratulating himself on GM and Ford doing so well because of the tariffs. So suddenly you've got this. Remember, this is my year of magical investing. You just keep getting these things that work in favor of the bulls. And then you see some people come on and they're incredibly bearish, but they don't have the horses.
I mean, Ford's impact is still $1 billion, and GM's is more.
Well, actually, Ford, to be fair, is that they have a reason not to do a lot of EVs, and they make Ford trucks, and best selling, and they did much better than people thought. I think Ford can actually have a romp here.
Yeah,
I really do. GM, good numbers.
Yeah. Meantime, P&G, which we'll get to in a minute, did sort of address how tariffs are, the impact is a little bit maybe less than it was prior in the year. This is John Moeller on Squawk today.
We've said in the past that we will have to price a little bit for some of the tariffs. That need has actually decreased. The retaliatory tariffs in Canada, which were one of our bigger issues, helped a lot, and we reversed price increases that we'd taken.
Go was pumping.
We rescinded the plans to take price increases in Canada, which is a good thing for everyone.
It's a good thing for everyone.
Good thing, especially the Canadians. Beauty's back. I've been worried about beauty. It's 6%. That's terrific. Healthcare, maybe not as important, not that great. Gross margins were down, so I was surprised that the stock is as strong as it is. Baby, feminine, family care, unchanged. But beauty does matter, and I think what really mattered was hey, listen, tariffs. We thought we were going to bang it. We're not. You're going to be okay. This theme of tariffs not hurting people as much is directly opposite of what we thought after Liberation Day. I keep searching for someone other than perhaps Gary Friedman for RH, so Restoration Hardware, where they really got hurt. And otherwise, Procter's really in the driver's seat, but I just don't see a lot of companies that got hurt. I do always like to see what Walmart says, because Walmart doesn't like to pass things on. Costco, too. But those are why they're kings.
Right. Still, though, I mean, we do have November 1st is coming around the bend.
Yes,
and if things don't go well in Asia, that could be additional to what we're talking about.
Well, look, I think that the thing I'm most worried about is the Supreme Court. What happens if the Supremes decide, you know what, we're independent of the president? Kind of like a Jeffersonian.
You mean like co-equal branches of the government?
Well, yeah,
you are so weird.
Jefferson and Hamilton were like, they had a good time. I mean, we're in a new mode. And I think that I wish I were being a little bit more facetious, but I'm not. I think that there's lots of branches of government that seem to be deferring to the executive. And John Roberts, he's going to be in charge of a huge amount of money that will come our way or not. And I don't think people realize John Roberts is actually independent.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the general read is that the conservative justices will sympathize with the dissents on the appellate decisions.
Right.
Meaning
I think that's
essentially in the president's favor.
I think that's right. It's just I've always found that John Roberts, in the end, he lets the chips fall. I mean, he's a remarkable Chief Justice and completely underrated, in part because he's a very common man person. Right. But I'm always worried that I don't know where he's going to come out. I really
What's up,
don't.
cousin?
And I think that those who are quite confident.
Looks like it works for NinjaTrader, but not
Well, I mean,
what is it? Project X. Where do you go pick Project X at? I don't see it.
I think we'll have people who come on air and say exactly what I just said. So I'm trying to prep you for the people who are going to say Roberts is an original
Scroll
thinker.
down.
Right. But look, I think that the court is packed with people who would be. I just think that the Chief Justice has a lot of sway.
We'll see. That's a discussion for the coming quarters.
I wish people understood that he's not a party line guy.
Right. As for Canada, Jim, the president calling off talks with
intraday
Canada after this ad
Project
runs
X, 50K. I see
from Doug
now.
Ford in Ontario, quoting Reagan. Take a listen to what this sounds like.
Yeah, gold's going up.
High tariffs inevitably lead to retaliation by foreign countries and the triggering of fierce trade wars. Then the worst happens. Markets shrink and collapse, businesses and industries shut down, and millions of people lose their jobs. Throughout the world, there's a growing realization.
So I can't pick Project X because my account is already on, what is it? It's already on, Traderday. So, but
We should note a number of TV stations are going to be airing that ad during commercial breaks, including CNBC.
yeah, let me ask them, since the code doesn't work for
specifically addressing Japan
Project
at
X.
the time.
Right.
Yeah,
I think
let me
they have
ask.
to apologize. Now,
Hold on, I'll use that
I worked with
screenshot.
Larry
I'll
Kudlow
ask her.
for almost 4 years. Larry Kudlow was big in the Reagan economic advisor, and this was the central fight, because Larry's a globalist, and then you would deal with others who are important in the administration and in that administration who were not. But Reagan in the end was a free trader, and Trump is not. He's a fair trader. And so you have this president who historically was a very different Republican. And Larry was struggling, I felt, in the first term.
Okay, I'll get back with you when they reply back,
The people
okay?
who are surrounding the president are thinking twice.
Sorry.
But who do you think needs to apologize
Some
and for
boy.
what?
Well, I mean, you can't. If you want to have a serious discussion about tariffs, I don't think you necessarily use us. I think you may have plenty of people up there who can say it. I think Reagan's somewhat sainted in the country, and you don't use his words against even though, look, he's a globalist, but you're not going to, all that's do is going to make Trump even less of a globalist.
It's been doing that for this whole year. I got denied my Apex.
was only a few minutes long, and a lot of people this morning argued that they might have
Yeah,
edited
again.
a bit of it, but
Oh my
it,
God.
it does reflect Reagan's general view.
Reagan is a global. Look, Reagan had many things that
Yeah,
were
it's a 30%.
not what you thought party line. I mean, I once listened to a
30%
speech
stop
by
loss.
Elizabeth Warren, and there was a huge
Oh,
amount of it
yep,
that sounded
I guess
so
I gotta flip now.
Republican. And it was Reagan talking about the common man and how the common man struggles. He just was, he was part of that Republican and Democrat coalition, which just said, you know what we're going to do? We're going to take cheap pants and cheap jackets, and we're going to take the jobs away. And that was, he was part of the coalition. And it wasn't considered to be a bad thing. Republicans and Democrats, something they agreed on. So, I don't know. I guess you could use it against him, but I don't think that look, the president.
Yeah, I'm getting sick of Apex now.
Reagan's words.
No, obviously not.
No, I mean, you can use Nixon. I guess you can use Biden. You can use anything you want.
So
Biden.
what I need to do is
Well, it comes after a
$50.
speech that Carney gave earlier in the week where he said that our strengths, meaning Canada's strengths, have long been tied to the U.S. and they've become vulnerabilities. So can't be much of a surprise.
Look, Carney's got to just, you got to go with the program. I mean, just go with the program. Everybody wins with the program. Look at what's happened in Mexico. She went with the program.
That means?
Well, it means don't fight the guy. Don't fight him and you win. I mean, if you don't, look, it's just not worth it to fight him right now. He's on a roll.
He's on a roll.
Guy's on a roll.
Okay.
I mean, look, I have business. I was out last week in Dreamforce. You know, people publicly have to say they despise him. You know, that's like no kings. And by the way, I'm not saying that I like him or hate him. I'm just saying that right now people feel, wow, Trump's on a roll. Like you can fight having soldiers come to San Francisco, but don't go too crazy.
Right. Jim, he's more underwater on the economy, and I'm citing CNBC surveys and Quinnipiac, the lowest of any second-term president ever. And he's down 19 points on the economy.
Look, I just, all I can tell you is that the CEOs that I deal with may be out of sync with what those numbers show.
Intel, meantime, is up sharply in the pre-market, getting a lift this morning from the first quarter. Amelius calls him Lip Boucan this morning, Jim.
Oh, no, I know, and I've got that piece. No, when I met with Lip Boucan, I just said, you know what? That was why I was so grieved when some senator said that he was not American. I mean, you know, the guy is fantastic, and he told me what he was going to do and how quickly he could
Go is
rebuild
pumping,
the
NQ is
destruction of Pat
pumping.
Gelsinger with not mentioning Gelsinger's name because he's too much of a gentleman. He's done everything. He's done everything. He's gotten the government to fix the balance sheet, which is really important. He's got really, I tell you, he's got a great lineup. It turns out that his products are completely red hot. We're in supply constraint with everything involving the PC and the server. And I just think that people don't recognize that this guy has already put his imprint. You know who really was the big winner on this? His close friend Jensen Huang. Because Jensen bought $5 billion worth. It struck at $23. And Jensen is just, you know, I once heard Jensen talk
Order
about Lip
filled.
Boo. That's how I got on the Lip Boo
Order
train.
submitted.
I was on the Lip Boo love train because I heard Jensen speak about him in 2022.
Yes.
And it was like, this guy is the guy.
Now, NVIDIA has margins, 70, 80, 90%.
Yeah.
Intel's is 11.
Well, look, I mean, under Andy Grove, the margins where they flirted with 69, 70. That was always the level. They get to that level.
How high do you think they can get at Intel's case?
But they'll get back to where Andy Grove is. Because Lip Boo's real. I mean, he has got the buy-in. Pat Gelsinger was messianic. Lip Boo is about making
Connection
a lot
lost.
of money. The thing that I'm concerned about, and I asked the company last night, is I'm worried about
the foundry.
The foundry,
yeah,
because the foundry somebody's stuck with. There was someone on this morning on Frank's show, and I never miss Frank. And the person was saying we don't know how to do this stuff. Well, that person was fatuous in her logic because she obviously has not met Lip Boutan. He doesn't do anything that's fatuous. He'll figure it out. I think people don't realize one person can make a great deal of difference. He reminds me of a throwback to the way Intel used to be, which was that everybody knew that they were the smartest and the best, and the only company that they disliked was NVIDIA.
Yeah. Take a listen to Lip-Bu Tan on the call last night.
The action we took to strengthen the balance sheet gave us greater operational flexibility and position us well to continue to execute our
It's like
strategy with
NQ want to
confidence.
pump it open. Same with gold.
In particular, I'm honored by the trust and confidence President Trump and Secretary Lutnick have placed in me. Their support highlights Intel's strategic role as the only US-based semiconductor company with leading-edge logic R&D and manufacturing. We are fully committed to advancing the Trump administration's vision to restoring semiconductor production and proudly welcome the US government as an essential partner in our efforts.
Well, look, think about what's going right for them. Renewed growth for traditional overall cloud-to-edge computing. They are now 5 years past the COVID pull forward, which was devastating for the PC industry, not anymore. Refresh of a larger base, Windows 11, build out of the AI infrastructure, driving big CPU demand, head nodes, inference, orchestration layers, incremental demand across the board. Holy cow, enterprise, sovereign clouds, private networks. This is all Lip-Bu playing right into what's really the supply problem. David Zinsner is fantastic CFO. Remember, I mean, Micron, he's just a genius. He said, listen, supply constraint, supply constraint, supply constraint. Others, Western Digital, Micron will go up again. AMD is going to go up again. They all play a role. And then I think that even though NVIDIA was mentioned by Lip-Bu as having one big product with them, NVIDIA gets taken up too. Tour de Force conference call. People should all listen to what happens when you get a good guy.
TI's an outlier on all of this?
Yeah, TI turned out to be Internet of Things, industrial, rain on my parade, really kind of bummer conference call. But these others, a SanDisk. I mean, these companies, no one's talked about Western Digital since I owned 4% of it in 1998.
Well, we've been watching Mr. Diggs. When we come back, Target leading a long list of companies announcing job cuts. There's some others this morning as well. We'll get to some consumer names. We'll talk some Deckers, Newmont Mining, Sam, Norfolk, and Ford when we return.
Come on, dump this Ponzi.
Brandon Coley, Jablotsky Auto Body, LLC.
What'd she call Harper?
Oh, you mean Jablonski Auto Body LLC.
We actually sold the twins' naming rights.
You know, like stadiums do. Kids are so expensive these days. Here he comes.
Oasis Breeze Tan and Spa.
If you need a tan, I'm your man.
Could do business with you.
Or we can look at some investment options for you.
Works for us.
The right money moves aren't as absurd as you think.
Investing. You buy low, sell high, jump on that trend, ride the wave. Stop. That's not how investing works. You're not a child playing a game. This is grown-up business. The real thing. You know wealth isn't won in a bet. Luck is not a strategy, and success demands discipline. You're serious about investing, right?
A heart attack? Do they have life insurance?
No.
But we have life insurance. John.
I'm trying to find something we can afford.
Fortunately, in only a few minutes, SelectQuote found John a $500,000 policy for only $29 a month. And his wife Anne a $500,000 policy for only $21 a month. Go to SelectQuote.com now and get the insurance your family needs.
At a price you can afford. SelectQuote. We shop, you save.
The CNBC CEO councils are always on my calendar. I love the diversity of industries and sectors that are represented.
We got together to talk about where our business goals align. There was just every possible win in this partnership.
It's an opportunity to learn something new and get really honest feedback from peers who are experiencing the same exact thing you are.
That's the magic of not just CNBC and this CEO council. It's how you create change in the world.
Explore CNBC Council memberships today.
To throw the best tailgates in Texas, you need the highest quality beef and HEB certified meat cutters like me.
And me. As experts in all things meat, we hand cut and grind fresh beef 7 days a week.
Need a custom order for game day? We'll make the cut.
We'll even tell you the best way to cook, season, and serve it up.
High quality beef and custom cuts. No one does tailgating like HEB. One more reason that?
At my HEB, here everything's better.
Strength that responds. Refinement you can feel. And tech that anticipates. Welcome to the Genesis GB70.
Get the 2026 GB70 for 2.99% APR for 60 months. Exclusively at your DFW Genesis retailers.
To Jim's point a moment ago, chips definitely leading the action on the NDX. Did you see the story, Jim, where IBM said an algorithm, a quantum algo, can run on conventional AMD chips?
Yeah, why didn't anyone talk about that? We're so busy talking about the traditionals, these small guys, and how much they'll get from Lutnick, and I thought that was so significant. It was one of the reasons why I told people to buy IBM. That's commercial. They have a commercial quantum program. The only other one that really has commercial is Alphabet.
Yeah, in their words, can run on chips that are not ridiculously expensive.
People just, all they did was talk about Red Hat ticking down to, and it's going to come back. I thought that was just stellar.
We'll get Kramer's Mad Dash and the opening bell in just a minute.
I'm Tony Steen, digital strategist at AmericanEagle.com. After Kansas City Stakes experienced declining traffic and conversion rates, they came to us primed for online growth. We solve digital challenges like this all the time. By leveraging an omni-channel digital marketing strategy, KansasCityStakes.com attracted new customers and significantly increased ROI. For complete website and digital marketing solutions, go to AmericanEagle.com.
What does it mean to live a rich life? It means brave first leaps, tearful goodbyes, and everything in between.
It looks like it went get up more on NQ.
Experience navigating the ups and downs of the market and of life. Our financial
Same thing with
advisors will
gold.
be there to
Wow.
help guide you through, so you can move ahead with confidence. Because with all you've done to find your rich, we'll do all we can to help you keep enjoying it. Edward Jones.
What if the future of finance wasn't built around averages, but around you? At Abacus Global Management, we're redefining financial strategy
Order
around
filled.
lifespan. This is a new era
Order
of investing
submitted.
built on the truth of your life. Welcome to Abacus Global Management.
Amazon offers hourly employees health care on day one for the whole family.
Mom, go look!
Go, 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 go!
Should I get Dad a Band-Aid?
At Amazon, hourly employees earn an average of over $23 an hour.
All right, what are we thinking?
Megacount.
Megacount. Guess this is mine now.
Hey.
Today's digital world is full of risks. I present to you the world's most protected business.
Creed, we have AT&T Dynamic Defense.
It prevents malicious threats. How are people supposed to get in? There's no door.
Somebody say door. Light 'em up, Bobby. My man.
CNBC's Changemakers 2026 list, spotlighting women who innovate, lead boldly, and are transforming business. Do you know someone who is rewriting the future? Nominate them now at cnbc.com/changemakers.
Let's get Kramer's Mad Dash as we count down to the bell. A lot of consumer names in focus.
Yeah, and today it's Deckers. They put out a kind of lukewarm guide, and that is enough. Now, I thought this had been punished over and over and over, and it would bottom, but no. You got Uggs not doing that well. You have Hoka not doing that well. You have the projections not that great. The enterprise level declines. I mean, this is the truest note that just says there's elevated competition, broader macro uncertainty. Now, the question is Nike coming in against Hoka? Well, I would say that there's just a big scrum right now in sneakers. It's because New Balance has come back. It's lost its allure. Now, it's fashion. It's got to feel kind of like Lulu, but Lulu's expensive, and this company is just all right. I don't know. I don't know if I want to sell this ahead of let's say you get a really cold winter in Uggs, maybe you get a snapback, but people just hate it. I think it's overly hated, but whoa.
You have been more constructive on Nike, obviously.
I am. We've been buying, and that's because of Elliot. Now, let me tell you.
Not Elliot, the activist.
No,
Elliot Hill.
No. But I think that he's doing a terrific job, but people keep saying that there's still too much inventory in the system. I think he'll surprise, and that there won't be, and that this is the last
5 minutes
out of my
soon.
Nike right here. But I am also saying
Order
that it's
filled.
Brian Nichols' last bad quarter on Starbucks, and these are very big bets, because if they're not, then you're going to revisit this.
Order
And if
submitted.
you're not, you're going to revisit Starbucks in the 70s. But I'm with them, not against them. I think that they are great operators with a terrific outlook for 2026. That's what I'm betting on.
We're going to talk Starbucks and some cost initiatives in the segments to come.
How about Target?
Yeah,
Wow.
Target as well. Get the opening bell in about 5 minutes. Don't forget, you can catch us anytime, anywhere. Just listen to and follow the Squawk on the Street Opening Bell podcast.
CNBC Sport on the record, your front row seat to sports and business, from commissioners and owners to media executives and top athletes.
These are Rembrandts. I'm telling you, these franchises.
On the record, all new tomorrow, 3 Eastern.
I got something coming up.
This fall, get ready to think fast and eat faster at Raising Cane's. With hand-battered and cooked-to-order chicken fingers. So grab a box combo and catch.
My name's Chad Powers.
A Chewy pharmacy order is on the way for Gouda. Meds verified by Chewy's licensed pharmacists, paired with his favorite cheese. Delivered by Chewy, devoured by Gouda. For quality meds, for life with pets, there's Chewy Pharmacy.
If I wear a sweater, I'm not going to be able to see. Oh, hey, there you are. Are you ready to go watch some more me? No, not this time. I'm wide awake. I'm not going to fall.
Introducing Venue's Lux Fire Suites, your ticket to investment in live entertainment. Venue's leaseback program is offering access to music's best performances from your own fire suite while enjoying guaranteed passive income and asset appreciation. How it works? Buy a fire suite in one of our amphitheaters, earn guaranteed returns starting at 11% annually, and enjoy liquidity with Venue's guaranteed buyback option. Own your place in the future of live
Fucking
entertainment.
Apex denied my payout. 3 payouts in a row denied.
Today.
It won't be hard to find someone to fix this.
Yeah, that rule is
Started
stupid.
Angie's List, different story.
And some
Lots
people breaks
changed
it
for
too
us
and they
at
let it
Angie's
slide,
since
but
then,
they
the
don't
issues
like me.
facing homeowners are the same, and the solution too: skilled local pros.
I don't know,
Get
trolled him
started
too much
at
on Twitter.
Angie.com.
Omaha Steaks semi-annual sale is back. Save 50%
But yeah,
site
I'm
wide
getting
on America's
annoyed.
best steaks, chicken, burgers, and more. All backed by our 100% guarantee.
Yeah,
right
I'm
now, you'll get
going
12
back to the other
Omaha
firms.
Steaks
I'm-
burgers free with your
I
order.
need to get
Visit
PPT to pay out.
omahasteaks.com/TV today.
Nuveen invests with the foresight and
That
vision
pump is
to
huge on
anticipate
CPI.
the needs of future generations. To build strong portfolios that deliver lasting legacies. To innovate and adapt
Way
for
over
what's
earlier.
just around the corner. Because after 125 years of
It'll
yesterdays,
be hard to trade today, though.
Nuveen knows your ultimate
It's
stakeholder
a past 2 Tradeify, so
is
that's
tomorrow.
good.
Nuveen,
Yolo
invest
looked
like the
pretty good.
future is watching.
The opening bell is brought to you by Nuveen. Invest like the future is watching.
Welcome back. The list of companies announcing layoffs this month is getting longer. Now includes Target. Company says it's cutting 1,800 jobs, about 8% of its workforce. That's the first major layoffs for that company in about a decade. The move comes amid slumping sales at the retailer. New CEO getting ready to lead the company in February, Jim. But we could add AMAT, Nestle, Rivian, Meta, Procter.
I think that we're in this mode. Someone's going to say it's AI. It's not. I think these are all pretty discrete. The Target, for instance, which was pretty big, I think that's an opportunity because a new guy comes in brooming a lot of what I guess would be overhead. I always like to think of these people as doing something, but maybe the numbers are
order filled.
You got a 12 PE on Target. That's got to go up, and one way they can do it is to sell more, and the other way they can do it is be able to have better cost control. Because when I talked to Brian Cornell, I would go into the stores with him.
Your 30, your 50% is off.
I think they had too much.
You messed that up.
They are not competitive with Walmart, and they have to, at least on some things. And it's not enough that they have very good house brands, which they do. I think that you don't want to be irrelevant. And Target, because it's a little higher cost.
What is the target for 75K? Let me see.
It could happen.
Right.
It's 4,500 profit target. Yeah, so yeah, it is 79,500. You never did pass.
Right, but Hasbro did it.
Yeah, and I was
yeah,
going to say,
right. Look, I think Mattel had dolls, not that close. And Costco continue to take share. They're doing quite well. I think that my take is that as long as they're doing well, costs can be held because that's when people shop in this country.
Let's get the opening bell on this Friday. The CNBC Real
Good, let it down.
board is Grayscale, celebrating the listing of its GDLC ETF, the first multi-asset.
It's gonna be hard to trade though.
In the U.S. At the Nasdaq, it's a financial services firm, Sullivan Holdings, doing the honors. As this has been a very solid week, Jim, even with all the hand-wringing midweek.
Oh, it sure is, and I think I think we're beginning to realize shutdown not as important.
Boost 400 would be nice.
To get things done. Overall, the quarter so far have been pretty good. There's not a lot of outliers that are bad. Witness Honeywell. They've reported a terrific quarter. GE Vernova. These are great companies.
He's gonna dump
Very
them.
good numbers. I just continue to think that the industrials are underrated here. By the way, apropos of what we're listening to, JP Morgan
Order submitted.
Bitcoin, Ether. Well, those I thought were cockroaches.
Order canceled.
When there's more cockroaches,
yes.
You know, I wish that
Order
Jamie
submitted.
Dimon, I've been thinking about the late Gene Hackman. It's something he told me, his former partner, that I think it would have been better because he had that tricolor problem. It would have been better if he just said Gino's axiom was sometimes you just get hacked.
Yes.
And that's what I think happened, rather than the cockroach theory, because we didn't see a lot of cockroaches. But we did see JP Morgan get hacked.
Yeah. I mean, it is a little, even Solomon this week did say it's a little weird to have 3 one-offs in a row.
Right.
Primal End, First Brands, Tricolor.
Well, I think that this is like when you run a restaurant and you see someone has an airborne illness. The thing you don't say is, you know what, those guys are jokers. You say, well, you never know. Because it's always bad karma. Now, I know you'd say, well, hold it. What's karma? What does it mean? Well, I'm just saying that David Solomon came out and say it's great. Then you go back to Irving Fisher, the great Yale economist, where two great pages of Andrew Ross Sorkin's 1929 is this economist saying, I don't know, there's a permanent plateau of growth here. I don't know why people aren't buying. You don't want to be Fisher. I think that actually one of the more defining great moments in Andrew's terrific book is that you don't want to be the guy who says things are too good. Because Fisher we now think of as one of the great frauds of our time. Had he just been quiet, he'd be okay. You can't be the guy who says it's really a good time, because then it's like the guy who says, I don't know why Chipotle, they really screwed up on the airport.
Order filled.
You can't do it. I think people at home should recognize
Wow,
that you don't
fake
want to
out
be
on that
Irving
pit.
Fisher. amazing part of Andrew's terrific book.
That's good to hear. There was a great note out of the Morgan Stanley desk yesterday. To your point, earnings have held up their end of the bargain. Alcoa, Danaher, they mentioned Honeywell. And then GE, Vernova, and Vertiv were short sale restricted midweek, and they're going to be up on the week.
Order submitted.
Vertiv was just, I mean, 60% growth.
Order filled.
Vertiv one. I remember
Order
Dave
submitted.
Cody is the chairman, but Albertazzi, and
He
he's
blew
just
it?
here we are with the all-time high.
Damn.
That is that story is incredible. Now, people have to realize when you go into the data center, it's really hot, and then it's freezing. And the freezing is because they use these machines called
Order
Liebherr
submitted.
air conditioners. I first saw them at biotech companies. That is the gold standard, is Liebherr. And
He's
Liebherr,
gonna chop
which was
now
a
after
division of
CPI crack.
Emerson, was sold ultimately to a
Order
SPAC,
filled.
which then became Vertiv. This was the first SPAC.
Order
And it was a
filled.
Goldman SPAC.
Order
They knew what to
submitted.
do, and I went to hear the guy speak. And the stock was like at 35. He goes, look, this thing, the data center, this could be good for us. Good call.
Yeah, it has been good. One interesting wrinkle, though, Jim, is I know we're only about 20% into earnings season, but companies that are beating on earnings are underperforming the S&P by the most since about 2020. Nice chart
Order
here. It's a little
filled.
bit difficult to read, but you see the blue line at the far right.
Yeah.
That doesn't
Order
always happen.
filled.
Well, no, but I think that the instant reaction, like yesterday when Scott was in your chair, Tesla was down 30. And I'd say,
Order
well, wait a
submitted.
second, if that's the reaction, if that counts as the reaction, then so be it. But the Tesla quarter was amazing. You have these things over and over again where you have, at the opening, it's so bad. And then, well, wait a second, it turns out to be good. So the reaction is maybe often second day, witness Vertiv.
Right. You were vocal on Tesla yesterday saying, give the man his package.
I got caught in the short and it pumped fucking
That
ass.
had to do with, like a lot of people call GE Vernova up over 600 now.
Yeah,
A lot of
I got
people don't
caught in
listen
the
to
short
the
here
call.
with
The
dipping.
call was so brilliant, and all people want to talk about was the car sales. They spent
76.
more time talking about the articulation of the hand.
Yes. The human hand, difficult to engineer.
What does
People come right back and say 1 million robo-taxis by 2020.
Well, he's talking about 20 million
Order
robots.
filled.
Yes.
Look, I think that if you're really going to say, listen, sales
Order
in Germany
submitted.
trumped 20 million robots, forget it. By the way, one of the most elegant moments was when he endorsed Jensen Huang again. NVIDIA, which has been stalled at the 180 to 182 level, continues to come up as somebody that Jensen
Order
Huang is
filled.
the visionary. By the way, again, Liput
Order submitted.
at Intel, he's a visionary. I don't think people realize, but Andy Grove tried to,
Order
great
filled.
CEO of Intel, tried to wipe out Jensen Huang and NVIDIA.
Order
that
submitted.
was a big move. It was ceremonial, $23 price, but now it doesn't look so ceremonial with a stock at 40.
Yeah, the cost basis for NVIDIA and the government, I think, in the low 20s.
Order submitted.
I mean, if the president were right here, which he's most certainly not, I
Yes,
would say
$20 DLL left on this my funded future, so I'm gonna YOLO soon.
do you really want to ride it out? Don't you put more money?
Yeah,
into
have to
those
pay out.
four
That's all I have left on the
stocks that
DD.
Everyone keeps buying, hoping that they get some money.
Order filled.
You did write this morning, be careful about the quantum names if you're hoping for some kind of government stake.
You get
Order
the money,
submitted.
and then you blow out of the stocks. That's the game plan. Get the money and blow out because the losses are overwhelming. Of those, I think that D-Wave has got the
Order
best
filled.
Order filled.
technology, but the problem is IBM, and the problem is Alphabet.
Order submitted.
You can't bring a knife to a nuclear war fight.
So Goliath
Order
wins.
Order filled.
I love Goliath.
Goliath wins.
Little by little.
Lilliputians 0.
Order
Goliath
submitted.
Isn't there any optionality on M&A with these guys? These smaller
They're
names?
so overvalued. Oh my, on the revenues and no. I mean, Brigetti's a late entry to that one. I just think that look, there is a remember there's a
Order
crypto
filled.
Order filled.
and a quantum
Order submitted.
love in commerce.
Order submitted.
That's been good for the stock market.
Yeah. Jim Gold, again, an interesting story. B of A today. Inflows the last 4 months greater than the inflows of the last 14 years.
Well, again, I go
Order
to
filled.
Order filled.
Agnico Eagle saying
Order-
that their
order
orders are
filled.
from the China Central Bank and going again to Chinese buyers.
Order
the individuals.
submitted.
Now people say, listen, Newmont is down bad. Well, Newmont's all-in sustained costs
Order
is much
submitted.
higher. Agnico.
I did. I
And this
passed a
quarter
few
was
in
even worse.
Sunday,
So
boy.
I can understand. Look, I like the Newmont guys in general, but the free cash flow was down 8%.
Order
primarily due
submitted.
to a decrease in net cash provided by operating activities as a result of unfavorable working capital impact. Meaning, in other words, we screwed up. Okay, so forget that. I think that you want to go with Agnico. They're really on fire. What a great company. And by the way, you know, I buy my gold at Costco.
Yes, I've heard that.
So they think that I get a good price because the CEO likes the gold at Costco.
Oh, man.
It's interesting. That's Coles in
I'm gonna
Newcastle.
blow
When
this
the
Order
CEO of
submitted.
Agnico really go to Costco to buy, he says that you get that credit card back, and that's a good deal.
Yes.
I was waiting for him to say that the samples are good. That guy's like a regular person. I love him.
We've talked a lot about the beer
Order
business in
Order
the
filled.
last couple of years. Boston Beer Gym with the beat. That's going to put you above the 200-day for the first time since January.
So weak.
Order
I don't
Order
filled.
filled.
Order
Because,
fi- order
Order
filled.
filled.
Bolson was just terrible. Constellation awful. The only drink that is
Order
actually
submitted.
growing right now are agave spirits. Those are good. This is quite an outlier. I don't know how they did this. It begs more
Order
examination. because
submitted.
Beer's doing terribly in this
Yeah,
game.
they raised the full-year guide. They beat by almost $1.
It's very good.
425.
I know, it's very good.
Order
This has been an
submitted.
outlier. They've been bad for
Now
a
one
long
is
time.
denied, and the other one's
I think
denied.
that
You
we
can
have
go
I have to
YOLO
open
on
the
it
books
now.
on again this one because, wow, beer's been, you know, if you're a beer company.
I know
whoa, it's
you
bad.
talked to Southwest yesterday, right?
Yes.
Today it's ALK, which is lower. Of course, they did have this outage,
Yeah, the outage.
IT disruption.
Outage
They
for
canceled
them.
the call for now, but that's going to take you back to the summer.
Yeah, that's a very good operator, so that was unfortunate.
Interesting the disparity between some of these lower
What other
cost
Lucid?
names and the premium airlines like Delta and even
But
United.
you
Well, the Delta United talk
what?
about the front of
I don't-
the plane and the back of the plane. The other guys just talk about the plane. The
I thought your direct
granularity
hit
of
the
the
yellow.
people, the rich people and the corporations are so back. Remember, that was like the Zoom problem. The front was like kind of empty because all it was really wealthy people.
How much do you make?
Oligarchs. Now it's not a Zoom economy anymore. People are going to see people, and that's,
How you
that's
not-
what I heard from United.
Oh,
It's really quite a good quarter. Delta was
Like
quite
the way you trade.
The other really interesting week, Jim, I know you've been all over Uber. Today, Stiefel goes to 124.
You had profit
They were at
taken in, so
116.
it took profit because it's gonna be
Order
over your
filled.
consistency.
They've unveiled this week. Emphasis on EVs.
Look, I think Dara's doing a remarkable job. I think Uber is what I call an upstock. Reddit is an upstock. DoorDash an upstock. It's that period, that unbelievable. I talk about these and how to make money in any market. My thesis is that the best
Fucking
companies that
asshole.
came public
Oh,
during
I'm gonna
2019,
choke because of you.
2021 companies, they are the likely next trillion dollar companies. They're doing so
Order
well.
submitted.
Well,
No. Good
the
job, but
momentum
fuck you.
favorites are leading today. Hood, Western Dig, Seagate, Micron, Palantir, all top 5 S&Ps.
When you have David Zinsner, who's such a heavy
How many were you playing?
CFO at Intel, saying, "Listen, we're
5 MNQ?
Those are the ways to play
Wait,
it."
25
Because
MNQ?
People don't seem to want to play it with
my
HPQ with Hewlett Packard.
Downgrade yesterday,
Yeah,
right?
and even though you got a nice yield, they also have that big.
Yeah,
problem
we
with
can't be
cartridges.
friends. I don't like
The
you
one
just
that's
going
been
along and just
sneaking up
shut it
is a
down.
combination of maybe a new cycle for gaming, Take-Two Interactive.
Well, that's
and
what you just
computers.
did.
It's
Yeah,
Best
I
Buy.
don't want to hear it. Okay, bye.
Left
Order
4 Dead
submitted.
not that long ago. That's where you go for the PC refresh. Corey Barry, let's get her on the show. I think she has good things to say. That stock's coming
Yeah,
back.
just let it hit DLL and let it blow, right?
Wouldn't you
Yes,
argue?
it is, and I wanted to go out very heavily on them in the last.
You didn't know
quarter.
about the
Not
DL. I've
good,
told you about the
but
DL.
maybe it's coming together. She was counting on a PC refresh, and you were getting it. That was one of the underlying themes of that great Intel call.
Right.
Okay, now you did good. Really good. Good job. Just long and pray. Good job.
With Bhutan, man, there's a lot of good luck involved. You know, it was.
Oh, we do?
A lot of good
Oh,
luck.
fuck.
In another world, he was fired, Jim, at the president's request.
Yeah, that was.
Don't let it dump.
That was
I'm
ill-advised.
goals
You
dumping.
think Palantir can finally muscle through 190?
work on your
You've been
pro
calling
then.
for
Yes,
that for a
I
long
can.
time.
And now how about this Axios piece? Very interesting about how Alex Karp, how he got to be all MAGA. I am a big believer. So I said at 50, Palantir goes to
I went
100.
too
And I said
heavy
at
on the
100, it
fucking
goes to
8X.
150. When it got to 150, I said it goes to 200.
For sure they're gonna deny
Now,
me
I
again.
have a source in the company involved with defense who came up to me at Salesforce and said, secretly, they like me.
Congratulations.
Right.
Dude, Apex took like almost $3 grand from me with all those denials.
Saying it all. But these guys are involved. Now, I have to tell
It's
you
getting annoying.
that RTX lost a particular contest against them. People, the rap against Palantirs, maybe they can't scale when it comes to hardware. But I think when I saw them, when I saw that Ortberg gave them the contract for Boeing and how to organize things, that's very
15
good.
minutes
I
have data?
continue to hear people just saying, I bring them in, I save money. I mean, I'm not hearing that from anybody else. Bring them in, save money. Alex, Karp, there are other people there, and they are doing some great stuff in terms of trying to get the Defense Department to spend less money and become more lethal. They love to use that term, like they want them to be more lethal.
The lethality.
I think they've seen a lot of really good Netflix movies, and they know that's the right thing. House of Dynamite, for all I know.
What did you make of the president's comment that his tech
I needed $50. I'm down freaking $1,400.
responsible for him turning
I didn't mean to do 2 NQ.
Well, I do think that he mentioned Jensen Huang. He mentioned, obviously, Mark Benioff. Mark, I think, made some comments.
I want to short on my cash now, too. I'm going to hit
having
all-time high
soldiers.
again.
And then, look, I know that Mark has had some safety issues. And this was, I asked him, I said, are you going dark side? Are you going? He said, no, I'm going safety side. But Mark, I was surprised to hear the president point blank call those two out as saying, listen, maybe we don't need the troops, even though Mark initially said they did. But he did back off from that. There was a real backlash against Mark that I thought was intemperate. Mark says
Target.
Order filled. What the fuck was that? Target gets hit.
Most CEOs are so guarded that they would
Target
never say
order filled. Oh my
whatsoever.
god. What the
I remember once, Treasury Secretary Rubin, whom I knew well when he was at Goldman,
order
I once interviewed him, and he said, listen, before you interview me, I want to tell you something. I'm making no news and nothing of import. And if you
I almost
say
blew my shit. No, I'm
matters,
losing money.
I will say that you got it wrong.
Don't put in the newspaper that I made news.
Right. And I said, well, geez, that constrains me. He says, that's
Apex
the point.
making me tilt.
Most CEOs are very, very practiced. And
Order
Mark's not
submitted.
practiced.
Yes. It's been an extraordinary week, Jim, for
yeah, 3 in a row, and then last month was another 2, so like 3 grand denied.
Earlier in the week, that's going to be, I think, close to a year high.
Yeah,
Did I
Wynn is
average
the one you
down?
want to buy
Looks like
there
I
because
did.
they've got a new
Did I
hotel
average
coming,
down?
and Wynn is amazingly well run. Do you know, can I just take a moment and just talk about this?
Order
We
submitted.
talk about Taylor Swift. Maybe we should be talking about Taylor Sheridan. This guy's on a roll. I mean, he starts, of course, with
Yellowstone.
Well, before that, he was in Sicario.
Yep.
But there's a great steakhouse that I went to, Taylor Sheridan's Steakhouse in Wynn. This guy in
bulenox
himself,
by
this guy's
myself,
become
Kevin Yolo.
a business.
Order submitted.
Very, very much a business. And I appreciate it. I mean, I wish we could get him
Order
on.
submitted.
Great. I thought you were going to Peace Guy on that.
No, Ryan Reynolds, Taylor, we've got some people.
Order
Taylor
submitted.
Swift. These people are countries. They're like nation-state actors.
Yes.
He is
Order filled. Order submitted.
Yeah, I want to meet these people. Look, we had Walton.
Hey, I'm at $20 DD on my Funded Future. Now it's $80.
I love them.
We got record highs, NASDAQ, S&P, consumer
Now I'll get
sentiment,
another
you mentioned at
payout.
the top of the hour, but first, some manufacturing and services PMI. Hey, Rick Santelli.
Yes, S&P
Order
Global.
submitted.
These are the PMIs. They're October preliminary, and they are better than expected. On the headline number, expecting 52. Our last final look last month was 52.
Order submitted.
Comes in at 52.2, best since August of this year. And if we look at 55.2 for services, that's well above 53.5 expected. Sequentially, also higher than rear view mirror at 54.2. And that one,
Order submitted.
55.2.
Oh, that's the best time to
would be
short.
The best
Come on,
going back
short with me.
to July when it was 55.7. And finally, the composite,
Told you to short.
54.8.
It's
just
gonna
like all the
rug
other
soon.
numbers, better than expected, sequentially higher than 53.9, which was the September
Wait for
final
5:30,
read,
but
and
it might go back
54.8.
up.
Get this, the best since July of 25. So even though the comps aren't necessarily going way back in the way back machine, they're still notably stronger And, of course, we still have University of Michigan
dump that
sentiment
shit.
at the top of the hour. We did have cooler than expected CPI, but well above the Fed's 2% target. And we see we're right back at 4%
How you doing, Gambit?
in that 10
You got your
year.
500?
Do keep in mind it settled at 401 last week. We're at 348
That's good.
in the 2 year,
Yeah, don't
which
go too
settled at
heavy.
346
filled.
last week. So yields are up on the week. Squawk on the Street will return after a very short break.
Okay, thanks.
Order submitted.
Are we shorting, baby bear? Are we shorting NQ? Let's go, baby. Oh, I've been shorting. I'm just bag holding. Oh, you like ES now?
The Bond Report is brought to you by PIMCO, a global
The
leader in
ES bot
active
is not that
fixed
good, so
income.
don't follow it.
Order submitted.
Morning, guys.
Why is Jen Bridges here?
I'm studying to be in a T-Mobile commercial. Teach me, Savannah.
Oh, I couldn't possibly. At T-Mobile, get the new
Yeah.
iPhone 17 Pro on them. It's the most pro iPhone yet.
So you can't teach that. Or can you? You can save up to 20% versus the other big guys. And see.
At T-Mobile, get iPhone 17 Pro on us. Plus, save up to 20% when you check the math.
There are a lot of financial services firms to choose from.
So what
Hey,
makes
Gambit,
me
is it
different?
storming over there
We're
for you?
employee-owned. Lots of us stay our entire career.
So you get consistent
That was
advice
bad,
and
it's
service.
funny.
From people who have a real stake in your financial success.
When you're actively trading, the
Give
fees
me-
really start to add
Give
up.
me 420.
Public is the only platform that offers rebates on your option trades, which help offset those costs. It's a simple
Are you
way
scared or
to
something?
help me keep more of what I earn.
Hi, I'm Cody. I wear a lot of different hats.
Hey, what do you mean? You didn't
Today
do
I'm
that
a
bad. You
firefighter.
blew a
I'm
YOLO
also a
Lucid
police
with
officer, and
CPI.
at the end
That's
of the
not
day,
bad.
I'm a Tractor Supply team member.
Tractor Supply's Hometown
Yeah.
Heroes program honors all who serve, and that makes me really proud.
When veterans come in, it's thank you for your service. I appreciate everything you did.
From all of us out here,
I mean, don't do it because I'm telling you to.
Order
Don't blame
canceled.
me.
service, for your
Order
patriotism.
order filled.
Thank you.
Yay, what a dip. I got out.
Age-related memory decline? Meet new Cunol Brain Health, the first and only tablet to
Order
combine
canceled.
two high absorption
Yeah, I covered
ingredients,
too soon,
clinically
too.
shown to
Yeah.
improve
Need
memory,
200
focus,
to get
attention,
this
and more. Trust Cunol
tick-tick
for
shit.
more comprehensive brain health support.
Dear Dr. K, I used to think I was never meant to be beautiful.
job.
I was teased because
Good
of my teeth.
job.
I didn't like the person looking back at me in the mirror. I never thought I could afford dental implants. You and your team worked within my budget and helped me feel confident in the plan we made together.
That's so wrong.
I love my new smile. Thank you.
Congratulations, Cynthia.
Introducing our new lifetime warranty on zirconia arches, only at ClearChoice. Call to schedule a free consultation.
Franklin Templeton ETFs. With over 70 ETFs, we have solutions for every market, helping advisors build the portfolios
One more
of
pump
the
so I can
future
reshort.
today. Franklin Templeton, your trusted partner for what's ahead.
Earnings season on CNBC takes you
I know.
inside the numbers. And when the CEOs have a big announcement, they come here
You're about
first.
to eat good. You got 2 more days left now, right?
Special
Yeah.
coverage all this month on CNBC.
That's so nice.
That dip of West Texas down
Let me
to
check my
57
Lucid. Nope,
change
my
was
Lucid
short-lived
sucks.
as
I
these
can't even
Russian
pass a
sanctions
Lucid.
now kind of changed the picture. Jim, I'm not sure where you are on oil.
It goes low. There's just too much of it. You can have a bump up
Me?
for where the flows are, but Russia's pumping
I didn't have
furiously.
enough. I
Where's
couldn't click
the
fast
extra
enough.
nitpick
I
on
had like 8
technology?
evals I
Could
was
take us up to
clicking, so I
14.
couldn't get to
Thank you,
Lucid.
Rusty Brazil, for that. I just
then-
feel like you don't want to own oil.
Oh no, when that copy trade doesn't work, when I do that, it just blows. It won't take profit for some reason.
360.
Yeah.
Now, there's even
Ah,
more love
yeah, I
about
got the
E-Trade,
gay
the original
Apex
place
copier.
to trade online.
Yeah,
Our
Apex is
cutting-edge
gay.
platforms on web, desktop, and mobile. Redefine
I can hear it on
sales
YouTube, I don't care.
Move at the speed of the markets with powerful tools that help simplify trading stocks, options, and futures. Plus, get expert research from Morgan Stanley to help you stay one step ahead. Elevate your trading with E-Trade from Morgan Stanley.
Should we go back in
When
the short?
someone says, let's
way too
impose
nice.
tariffs on foreign imports,
It looks like
Order
they're doing
submitted.
the
Yeah, I'm gonna
patriotic
wait.
thing by protecting American products and jobs. And sometimes for a short while it works, but only for a short time. But over the long run, such trade barriers hurt every American worker.
Order
and consumer.
filled. Order submitted.
High tariffs inevitably lead to retaliation by foreign countries and the triggering of fierce trade wars. Then the worst happens.
Shut up.
Order
Markets
canceled.
shrink and collapse, businesses and industries shut
Alright,
down,
one more hundred.
and millions of people lose their
Order
jobs.
submitted.
You didn't hear shit, buddy.
Order
Throughout the
filled.
world, there's a growing
Order
realization
submitted.
that the way to prosperity for all nations is rejecting protectionist legislation and promoting fair and free competition.
Order
And
canceled.
America's jobs
$50 more.
and growth.
Order
are at stake.
submitted.
CNBC's Delivering Alpha returns.
Order
A
filled.
live event with exclusive access to the world's
Order
best
submitted.
investors. Get your tickets now at deliveringalpha.com.
Order canceled.
$10 more. I got this.
Order submitted. Order canceled.
won't believe
Order
what I found on
submitted.
Etsy. Personalized ornaments by Zoe, under $50. Handmade holiday accents, also under $50. And oh, custom stockings
How's your
by
Apex,
Amy with
Isma?
free shipping. Well,
Oh, that's your trade.
what do you think?
Nice.
It's so...
Helen. For affordable holiday decor that makes you feel seen, special starts on Etsy.
You're long?
Hey, son,
Oh, I don't know
before
about
you get married,
long.
We need to have the talk.
Not right now, Dad. I need to go over my vows. Is
Order
Elle
filled.
Duncan going to talk to me about
Order
Setting
submitted.
a budget when you bet. I heard that you won that long shot parlay, but that you haven't won since.
Order
Just
canceled.
because
Order
you win
submitted.
big once doesn't mean you figured it all out.
Oh, you had to pay out?
Need to have that
Oh,
talk.
one more day. You can
Celebrating
flip though,
love.
right?
That is what today is all about.
At ESPN, we believe the best play is a smart play.
I think Alex said you can flip
Let's get
like
to
at
Jimmy
least
Stocks.
1 or 2 days.
A lot of
Order
people who are
filled.
video millionaires, and I'm thrilled. They're regular people. Maybe we should start
Oh.
thinking about.
Yeah,
Lisa's
today's Friday.
Zillionaires.
Order
Okay,
sub- order
this month
filled.
in 20,
Order
14,
submitted.
she came in. The
Order
company was worth
filled.
$2.5 billion.
Order submitted.
And now it's worth $400 billion. And it's up
Order
again
canceled.
today. She stayed in
Order
DC.
submitted.
She moved aggressively into
I did.
data
I did.
center.
And got when I got the
Lisa Su
approval.
is
So
one
yeah,
of
I
the
think you should
greatest
be able
executives
to.
of all time.
Yeah, I mean, Time named her CEO of the year. Then the stock had a rough run,
Order
very rough,
filled.
before this new
I never got
resurgence.
denied yet on
I mean, there was a period where
bulenox.
she was telling me, look, Jensen's way ahead. But now she's
Good
saying,
job.
look, the gap is closed.
Finally back on, huh?
Now, of course, there's a new iteration that NVIDIA has next year. We'll have to rethink. But
Order submitted.
congratulations,
Order
Lisa Su,
filled.
for you know, this
Order
2014
submitted.
11 years. Look what she's done.
Absolutely.
TPT's not under the
this
radar.
weekend,
He's
Jim.
talking about everybody
Argentina
using
elections.
TPT.
The peso has acted a little erratically to this support. And then, of course, Eagles
Oh, yeah,
Giants,
yeah, yeah.
Volume 2.
Look, AJ may not play.
Yeah.
AJ seems to want to trade. That's devastating. The last time he didn't play against the Giants, we lost. I think people are underestimating how important he is. Make him feel better. Suddenly he's got the hamstring. Oh, my God.
Yes, he is high maintenance.
But Howie Roseman will solve the problem. I have trusted. Howie doesn't watch the show. He's too busy making deals.
Jim, good luck. We'll see you tonight. Mad Money, 6 p.m. Eastern Time. Record highs, S&P and NASDAQ and UMISH at the top of the hour. Don't go anywhere.
Seeking. The unsatisfied. Emotional. Defiant.
What account?
Those who take things personally. Seeking.
And you can't trade. Send me the DM and I'll get my guy to fix it.
Exceptional things. To find a treatment.
How many days has it been? Over a day, right? How many days has it been? You can't touch that yet.
Seeking.
Yeah, send me the DM and the account info in the email.
To make it
my guy
easier
fix
on the
it.
people. Seeking. Those who refuse to accept medicine as it is. So they put themselves in a position to change it.
I'm stuck in a short. Yeah, again. Oh, drop.
Order filled.
Yeah, see?
Rather than stocks,
Good
because they
short.
offer higher
Good
returns,
job,
are
Uncle.
cost-effective and can actually reduce risk. Learn how in our new book.
And got the book.
I'm not exactly $500. I think I need to make more to get the 1 point.
Order submitted.
I have a couple stocks, but I don't have many of them anymore. It's all
Order
options for me.
filled.
I
Order
highly
submit.
recommend
Order
everyone
filled.
use John
I got my
book
points.
because there's nothing else out there like it.
Get a free copy today at itsnotanoption.com. Itsnotanoption.com.
Huh?
Here on the internet, you can pretend to be anything.
No, I don't
like a
think so.
medical professional. Or a skilled electrician.
Don't trust the unfiltered internet. Angie has 30 years of experience finding the best pros.
Angie,
Guess day one is done on this flipping one.
connects every corner of your business, putting AI
I
agents
think
to
it's
work for you.
uncapped after this one. Even if it's denied, it still count as a payout, right?
Autonomous minions that you
So it'll be
control.
number 5.
Well, Jim's agents resolve simple
Yeah.
customer issues, and Patty's agents
We'll see
flag network
when I get
problems.
full customer payout next week. I'll just wait for November.
Wait, do you all have agents? Oh yeah, and on the
I'm gonna
ServiceNow
run that shit
platform,
up.
everyone's
Make some
agents
pay
work
for this.
together, so everything works better.
Could I have agents?
Maybe.
Summit swag? Psh, how hard can it be? And that's terrible. No, definitely no. That might be so bad it's good. Conference slogans? Hard.
It's gonna go
Conference
down.
swag? Easy. Move your business forward with custom ink.
Never
6
miss
days
a
after
moment.
that, and
To have companies, public companies, reporting
it's gonna
every
go
6
down.
months in a full-scale reporting parameter would work well. I don't think there's a lot of difference between
Order
transparency
canceled.
twice a year and transparency every quarter.
Order submitted.
Credit quality for us still looks very strong. It doesn't mean it's not going to deteriorate. We just don't see it happening yet.
AI doesn't change the world until it changes the daily life of regular people, and that doesn't happen until most consumer apps are AI.
7 or 9 o'clock.
Morning, welcome to
Order
Squawk on the Street.
submitted.
I'm Carl Quintanilla with Leslie Picker, Michael
Or
Santoli, Post
target.
9
Order
filled.
Whoa, what was that?
and Faber is on assignment. Record highs
Holy
for the
cow.
Dow, NASDAQ, and S&P this morning as CPI comes in a 10th light, although headline year-on-year is about an 8-month
Yeah,
high,
right.
and yields have resumed their small
Order
climb higher 10
order
years back to
submitted.
before. Today, Goldman's chief U.S. economist David Merrill's with us, talk about this new clarity on the economy, even as the shutdown goes into day 24. Ford's on the move, higher after an earnings beat, but that supplier fire is hitting guidance for the full year. Former CEO Mark Fields will be with us to discuss. And AI data center startup
Yeah, I don't think the CPI
just
drilled
raising
down
new
enough.
money at a
I
$10
think,
billion
missing some
valuation with backers
information.
including NVIDIA and CRM.
That was
We'll talk to
told.
the CEO about his plans
Order
to disrupt
submitted.
the AI ecosystem.
But first,
NVIDIA
consumer
is
sentiment
going
data just crossing the tape. Rick Santelli has that for us. Hey,
Order filled.
Hi, Leslie. Indeed, just crossing the tape. These are October final reads to replace the mid-month
Order
read.
submitted.
And the mid-month read of 55 deteriorates to 53.6. 53.6. That would be the weakest level going back to May of
Order
this
canceled.
year. If we look at the current conditions, from 61 mid-month to 58.6. 58.6
Order
will
submitted.
be the weakest going back to You're going all the way back to July of 22. July of 22 on expectation. Same 50.3. And that
Order
is from
canceled.
51.2.
Order
a big
submitted.
deterioration there. That would be the weakest going back to May of this year when it was under 50. Now let's get to the
Order
inflation
canceled.
data. The mid-month at
Order
4.6
filled.
remains
Order
at 4.6.
submitted.
However, the 5 to 10 year read moves from 3.7 to
Order
3.9,
filled.
the warmest since June when it was 4%.
Order submitted.
We see that yields are back up, as Carl just pointed out. And do keep in mind, we settled at 401 last week on a 10, which means you're about unchanged for the week. We settled at 398 yesterday. We're up on the session. Same for 2-year. 2-year 346 last week, up 2. Yesterday it was exactly at 346. So we're, we're down a couple there as well. Maybe the most important feature continues to be that the CPI data was cooler than expectations.
The
initial
bot has
market
it,
move
but
was lower
it's
yields
not pay, but
and
it's real
higher
time.
equities as it sunk in that were well above the 2% target.
Yeah.
Rates came back, but we still see that the pre-opening equities held good.
Order
and the final
canceled.
equity markets are also
Not
way
that I
in
know
the
of,
green.
but maybe I'm
Mike
wrong.
Santoli, back to you.
Yeah, for sure, Rick. As a matter of fact, I think the S&P at the high for the morning. Let's get to
Order
Washington and
filled.
a number of
Looks
moving
like
parts on the trade front. The president saying overnight he's terminating all trade negotiations with Canada ahead of a trip to Asia to meet with Chinese President Xi Jinping. Eamon Javers joins us with the latest on all of that. Hey,
I'm
Eamon.
not sure.
Order
Good morning,
submitted.
Mike. It's a cross-border fight between the United States and Canada over the words and legacy of Ronald Reagan today after President Trump objected to this ad produced by the province of Ontario using a Reagan speech on tariffs from 1987. In it, Reagan says, over the long run, such trade barriers hurt every American worker and consumer. Now, that provoked President Trump to lash out in a late-night social media post calling
What?
the ad
Nice.
racist.
Congrats.
They only did this to
Look at
interfere
you.
with the decision of the U.S. Supreme Court and other courts. Tariffs are very important to the national security
Order
and economy
submitted.
of the
Straight to
USA.
funded, right?
Based on their egregious behavior, all trade negotiations with Canada are hereby terminated. And the Ronald Reagan Foundation
You're milking
issued a
it. They're gonna
statement
send you
saying
live
it had
soon.
used selective audio and video and misrepresents the April 25th, 1987 radio address by Ronald Reagan. Ontario Premier Doug Ford responded to the president in a social media post.
Hey,
saying, Canada and the
Milk,
United
are you
States
busy?
friends,
Well,
neighbors,
Milk is not
and
even in here.
allies. President Ronald Reagan knew that we are stronger together. God bless Canada and God bless the United States. No word yet from the White House on what the plan is now for talks between the two countries, which have been ongoing since Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney visited the White House earlier this month. And guys, I should tell you that we went back and compared the edited version that was aired in this Canadian ad of that Ronald Reagan speech with the actual Ronald Reagan speech from April 25th, 1987. The ad did cut and splice some of the words of the president and rearrange the order of the words. But the parts of the radio address that they took out of the ad because it was too long
Order
are
filled.
actually more critical
much
of
more I need on
tariffs
these
than some of the parts that they used in the ad. In the other parts of the speech that were not aired here, Reagan goes on to say that
Order
tariffs were part
submitted.
of the cause of deepening the Great Depression and saying that they cause American companies to be less competitive. So the president there, President Reagan that is, very critical throughout that speech of tariffs, guys. Back over to you. You know, Eamon, I mean, I have to take note of that ad
Order
live,
canceled.
which aired
Order
during
submitted.
the American League Championship Series last weekend.
Order
so it's been
submitted.
a few days. This has been out there at least. And I do wonder, one, if it had created any kind of upset in
Order
the days
submitted.
till maybe the president was made aware of it. And also, what
Order-
was the current state
order
of
canceled.
U.S.-Canada negotiations? And were we facing particular deadlines, or is this just an ongoing situation? Yeah, it's so...
Order
I think the
submitted.
question on the timing is an important one, Mike. I mean, we do know that this ad has been airing for several days. The president actually mentioned it earlier in the week. He made a reference to Canadian ads. He wasn't as outraged about them at that time earlier in the week. Last night, though, he was outraged. I think what the White House is objecting to is just the editing of the ad, which the White House says, and I just spoke to a White House official who said, again,
Order
the
filled.
editing
Order
misrepresents
filled. Order filled.
what
Order
was
filled.
said
Filled.
by rearranging the order of the words or cutting
Order
out some
submitted.
sections of the radio address that Reagan made. But again, if you go back and compare
Order filled.
the actual radio address, which the Reagan Foundation has out there now on social media, and what
Order
the Canadian
submitted.
ads suggested, you know, Reagan himself was a free trader.
Order
he
filled.
did do some protectionist
Order
things.
submitted.
He argued that those should be targeted and narrow, but broadly, you know, the Reagan argument was not the Trump argument on tariffs, and you know, that holds historically. So where are we now? I mean, that's the
Order
question is,
submitted.
are there any meetings now that will happen as a result of this at the low staff level, or is everything canceled? We're trying to get some answers from the White House and the U.S. Trade Representative's office on that. It's still relatively early in the morning.
Order
They're still going to be
submitted.
responding to this now and setting their schedule, so we don't have any information yet on what specifically has been canceled, if anything.
Yeah, for now, Eamon, market's definitely looking past it as we're at 6,800 S&P. Eamon Javers of the White House, thanks. Meantime, the major averages
Order
are hitting
filled.
record
Order
highs.
filled.
The word on that. Cooler than expected inflation
Order
print. Joining us
submitted.
here at Post 9 this morning is David Miracle, Goldman Sachs chief U.S. economist. David, thanks for coming in. Happy Friday. Nice to get some data, although it doesn't look like we're going to get another round of CPI data next month, according to the White House.
I think that's right. Unfortunately, most of the data for CPI are still collected by hand. They should be collecting them this month. They haven't been collecting them this month. That's going to be a major challenge for the October report. Right now, prediction markets expect the shutdown to last even through mid-November, so you have to start worrying a little bit about November data quality as well.
Order filled. I've seen sigh of relief. I've seen headline 8-month high. Is it a bit of a Rorschach on this one?
I don't think that there's really that much new that we've learned here. The inflation print did come in a little bit lower than expected. I would say a lot of that's probably the shelter category, which has been declining for the last few years for reasons that are well understood. From month to month, it's been a little bit erratic. Some months a little too high, some months a little too low, probably just reflecting that they don't have an unlimited data sample, but I think the general pattern is pretty clear. This is a key reason that we think underlying trend inflation is falling, and we think we're still headed in the right direction.
So you think what's conventional wisdom in the market right now as it pertains to the direction of rates is, nothing to see here, basically?
I think so. I think the debate at the Fed is all about the labor market. There are some subtleties there, especially because we don't have the September employment report, and it might be a while before we get official data. We, like most market participants, are trying to do the best we can with alternative data.
Order filled.
Mixed in September. It looked like job growth was maybe a touch better, but measures of labor market tightness or labor market strength continued to decline. None of this, though, is probably a substitute for the official data. So for now, I think the path that the Fed laid out, there's really no reason to deviate from that path.
And then we
Order
have
canceled.
somewhat muddy picture
450?
on
Okay,
the labor
hell yeah.
market, but also
Drop
this
that shit.
divergence between
I'll
the labor
take it.
market indicators
Order
and other
filled.
trackers of
Order
GDP.
filled. Order filled.
That's where a lot of the debate has to settle in the next few months, especially in the absence of government data. What are we going to use to figure out?
Where's fish
you have
anyways?
people saying the
Order
economy's
submitted.
reaccelerating. And actually has more juice into
I need
next
2
year,
more
and
thousand to
others
pass
are
this
kind of thinking we're at stall speed.
Yeah, if you look at the jobs numbers, certainly they've been a lot lower than what we're accustomed to over the course of this year. But GDP growth, if we average the first 3 quarters to try to smooth through some of the tariff distortions related to front loading, I would say GDP growth at about 2%, which is pretty solid. To some degree, in moderation, this is just going to be normal going forward. Productivity growth has been better this cycle than last cycle. So GDP growth in the neighborhood of 2%, coupled with softer jobs numbers than we're used to, because immigration is now much lower, and because our population is aging. In moderation, that's what we should all expect to see. I think the concern at the moment is that the jobs numbers haven't just declined in line with slower labor supply growth. They've declined more than that. That's why the unemployment rates come up a bit. And if you broaden your perspective beyond the unemployment rate to many measures of labor market tightness, we think things look even worse than that 4.3% unemployment rate suggests.
So when viewers see the disparity between labor and GDP growth, which one generally corrects to meet the other?
So a little bit of both, but the lesson we think is take the labor market data seriously. There is something to be worried about here. I think the case for lowering rates to make sure that the labor market doesn't continue to deteriorate makes sense. Now, having said that, we think, I think most investors think, I think the Fed thinks, that we're probably experiencing the peak drag from tariffs now, have not yet through Q3 gotten much of a boost from the fiscal bill, but that going forward next year, those two effects will be more offsetting. So you should have a little more confidence that the economy can operate near potential growth next year. I just think that probably Fed officials feel like, and I agree, it doesn't make sense to take the gamble of finding out if that's how things turn out.
What are the implications for the long term of this disparity you're talking about with regard to productivity-driven GDP as opposed to job-driven GDP and more moderate job growth compared to GDP, largely thanks to AI? I know you wrote about this in a recent piece. What are the implications of that?
Still didn't get your $500 yet?
They're trying to assess, how to ensure
so which one you're trading? Your Lucid?
As well as the health of the labor market.
Sure. There's a subtle but important difference between job growth slows down a lot just because labor supply growth has slowed down a lot because we have an aging population and lower immigration versus labor demand growth, hiring slows down even more than labor supply growth slows down, and it becomes more of a struggle to maintain the labor market at that aggressive definition of full employment that we've gotten used to earlier this cycle and late last cycle. I think this is a risk. I wouldn't say that the last 5 or 10 years have been an era of particularly high occupational disruption because of technology. So this is still a little bit speculative, but I think it's a risk well worth taking seriously because job growth has slowed very sharply. Outside of healthcare, we have been shedding jobs for the last several months, and because companies are extremely focused on finding ways to use AI to replace workers. If that's what we're in for in the years ahead, an era of faster technological progress and faster productivity growth, historically that has meant people switch jobs at a faster rate. You get a little more frictional unemployment, but you also get some temporary downward pressure on inflation, and that allows the Fed to keep rates a little lower to try to support the labor market.
You guys did have a great chart of the effect of technology on routine employment, and it's basically a straight line down over the last
filled.
Right?
And that's an important point, that sometimes you don't appreciate the full impact of technology on the labor market until a recession comes and catalyzes companies to find ways to reorganize, restructure, shed some of those routine jobs that technology has made it redundant.
David, a lot to process. We'll continue to do so with your help. Have a good weekend. Thanks, David Miracle. Our roadmap for the rest of the hour. After the break, Ford's a top performer in the S&P this morning, but that supplier fire and trade fears, obviously, around chips might impact sentiment.
Order submitted.
CEO Mark Fields will join us next.
Plus, JP Morgan reportedly
I bet I'm short, buddy.
crypto, even after Jamie Dimon told me recently he's still not
Short at 40.
personally a believer in Bitcoin. We've got the details on the bank's latest move.
And federal workers hit the food banks as the shutdown hits 24 days.
Order
filled.
As 2.1 million workers miss a paycheck today. Squawk on the Street, back after this break.
Order submitted.
Did you hear?
I'm so
A
scared
recent
on my
stash
Pro.
of $10 gold Indian coins from the early 1900s has been found. These gorgeous gold coins are as bright and shiny as the day they were struck in the early 1900s. With extremely limited availability, call now. Coin experts are calling this gold find an incredible opportunity. Call 1-888-517-8568 and you are guaranteed a $10 Indian coin minted by the U.S. Mint between 1907 and 1932. But with extremely limited availability, you must call now. Order filled. Order filled. 1800s are still in uncirculated condition.
Order
That is
submitted.
history you can hold in your hand. To learn more, call 1-888-517-8568. Call
Order
now and
submitted.
you'll receive a free American Coin Collector's bonus package, a $55 value, free with every order. Call 1-888-517-8568 now to secure your $10 gold Indian coins dated from the early 1900s before they sell out. That's 1-888-517-8568.
Introducing Verts. Swipe for news and highlights.
Order filled.
Now available
Order
on the
submitted.
ESPN app.
Welcome back to what should be a thrilling second half.
Introducing SportsCenter for you. Personalized every single day. Now available on the ESPN app. Powered by your favorites.
Welcome back to what should be a thrilling second half.
Everyone says I'm done with football.
He dropped it at the 1-yard line.
Dude, your face is toxic.
I'm sure it's a different quarterback with a cubic zirconia stud.
Well, it's a blood diamond. If I can't play as Russ, I'll play as someone else.
He's like extremely ugly.
He's really good.
You were born for this moment.
Are you crying?
Okay.
Welcome back to Squawk on the Street. Just over 30 minutes into the trading session, here are three big movers that we're watching. Intel shares gaining on a revenue beat and inline guide. In its first report since the U.S. government became a major shareholder, the company says demand for its chips outpaced supply. Shares up 1.4% this morning. Alaska Airlines falling after a technology outage grounded flights overnight, but operations have resumed this morning. That glitch came right after the company reported earnings, where it cut its 2025 profit forecast on higher fuel costs. Alaska says because of the outage, it's delaying its earnings conference call, which was supposed to happen this morning. The shares down
One more
almost
punch,
5%.
I can short again.
And Ford beating on earnings, but lowering
3
guidance
minutes.
after a
3 minutes is
5-day operations
overbought,
at the
and the
manufacturing
15
plant of
minutes
their primary
overbought on
aluminum
the
supplier
NQ.
last month.
In fact, here to help us break down the forward quarter, what it means for the rest of autos,
So
is
careful,
former Ford
Longy.
CEO Mark Fields, also a CNBC contributor. Mark, happy Friday. Thanks for being with us.
Great to be here, Carl. Thanks.
What a week between the fire, which we'll get to in a second, but tariff expectations, Ford's comments about EVs. What do you think is most important right now?
Well, I think when you look at the industry right now, the things that are most important for all
They're
the
back.
automakers are, first off, really trying to gauge demand, both on internal combustion side and the EV side, and then take appropriate pricing, and most importantly, get their cost structures in line for an industry that faces increasing global competition. But Carl, when you look at the results of Ford or even GM, in Ford's case, they had a strong quarter. They beat on the top and bottom lines, just like GM. And just like GM, they had very strong, truck and SUV sales. So you're seeing the market react positively, overall to particularly the domestic OEMs, where the government just extended the tariff relief on imported parts. In Ford's case, they get an advantage because medium and heavy-duty trucks that are not produced in the U.S. are now taxed. And for, particularly Ford, GM, and Stellantis, the fact that the government has, relaxed the fines, if you will, on the fuel economy requirements, which will allow them to sell more trucks and SUVs. But it's really gauging that and getting your cost structure in line for an industry that is being attacked by the Chinese domestic
Hey, can't make
manufacturers.
Jay-Z reply back.
Do you think we turned a bit of a corner chapter-wise when it comes to full EVs and what they will contribute to the overall share of U.S. sales?
Yeah.
Well, I think, you're going to see obviously a pullback given that the federal incentives have come off. But I think you're going to see a gradual growth in the EV market. I mean, let's face it, Carl, eventually,
She's alive.
Oil is a non-renewable resource. So you're going to see these grow over time, but it's not going to be at the pace that the automakers thought. And that's why you're seeing these big impairment charges that both Ford and GM and others have taken. And I think you're going to see more going forward as the industry adjusts to a new demand curve, if you will, for EVs.
How would you characterize just the overall health of the auto sector right now? I ask this in the context of several pretty high-profile bankruptcies that kind of played into this space, and I'm curious if you think that that's kind of idiosyncratic, if we could expect more, if it's a broader reflection of some of the challenges that you're discussing here.
Well, I think, Leslie, you're seeing the big global automakers in fairly good shape. We just saw the results from Ford and GM. Obviously, they have fortress balance sheets, and they're producing a lot of free cash flow and profits. That being said, you're seeing the supply base under severe strain. And, when you look at just some of the challenges of the last couple of years, whether it was COVID, the semiconductor shortage,
that's a big dip.
and, other issues thrown at the auto industry, the supply base, particularly the tier 2 through tier 4 suppliers, who are the smaller suppliers, are under a lot of stress. And that to me is you've seen some of that with the bankruptcy of First Brands and some others. That's a bit of a canary in the coal mine. So I think the automakers are very focused on looking at their supply chain and understanding who's strong, who's weak, who do they want to deal with, who do they want to merge, so they have a strong supply base. But I think that's the soft spot in the auto industry right now, of course, depending upon consumer demand, which is holding up pretty well.
Right. We did hear from AutoNation this week as well. I mean, everyone's combing through these calls, Mark, to get a sense as to whether or not subprime has the potential to migrate to bigger parts of credit. But it doesn't sound like it's obvious, at least in the moment.
Well, you have seen increases in subprime delinquencies, but Carl, I think when you look at the percentage of subprime of the total industry, car industry that's financed, vehicles that are financed, it's still relatively small. And I think whether it's the captive finance companies or the automakers or the big banks, they've done a really good job in tightening the standards, lending standards in that space. So yes, you're seeing an uptick, but I think in the overall scheme of things, It's not a huge red flag. It is a warning. And I think that's why the automakers are so focused on their business, both on the top and bottom lines through their cost structures.
Finally, Mark, I got to make it quick, but this Novelis fire, it does seem like it's going to come back online sooner than we thought.
Yeah, when you heard from Ford yesterday, I think the good news is Ford mentioned that the impact wasn't as severe as some expected, but they expect this plant to come online towards the end of the year, and it's a certain portion of the plant that produces the smelting and the ingots. So yeah, it's in good shape. But then you have this Nexperia issue, Carl, this new semiconductor issue that's a big deal and could be more impactful than the semiconductor shortage versus COVID that we saw back a few years back.
Yeah, market seems to be shrugging it off, though. Those shares up 9.5% right now. Mark, thanks so much for taking your time on this Friday morning. We appreciate it.
Yep.
Thank you.
And it's gonna flush later. Just don't know when.
Coming up after the break, Bitcoin's trying to hold on to 110K as JPM reportedly makes a deeper move into crypto. We'll get some details on that next.
Flat.
Plus more on this morning's CPI
I need a big
number.
pump
One
again,
market
so I can
veteran who
short
says
at
stocks
540.
have more room to run because of it. And the head of so-called AI factory company Crusoe, fresh off a new
550.
funding round, valuing
I'll
the
take
company
that
at
too.
more than $10 billion. Backers include NVIDIA and Supermicro. Don't go anywhere.
I'll take 452. I might love it later.
Gold delivers when markets don't. G Mining Ventures operates Brazil's newest producing gold mine with proven reserves and cash flow. Now they've expanded to Guyana to repeat their success. G Mining Ventures, creating value through responsible mining.
Hi, I'm Jay Jackson. For almost 20 years, Abacus Life has been purchasing life insurance policies from seniors. And in just seconds, you can use the free calculator at abacuspays.com to learn what your policy might be worth.
For many of my clients, selling their life insurance to Abacus was right for them and their estate plan.
Don't sell or lapse your policy without going to abacuspays.com first. There are no fees and no obligations. Get the real value from your life insurance when you need it with Abacus.
I wish I wasn't afraid to smile.
I wish I could get implants.
I wish I knew who to trust.
I'm not looking for another quick fix.
I want a smile I know will last.
ClearChoice smiles are made to stand the test of time. They're built by dental implant experts, backed by 20 years of pioneering research and a lifetime warranty on premium arches. Our smiles are built for life. Schedule your free consultation today.
Some people like doing things the hard way, like doing their finances with a spreadsheet instead of using Quicken. Quicken pulls all your financial info together in one place and updates it automatically. How easy is that?
Whodunit? We're looking for a house closer to everything, but we don't know where to start.
Find it with Realtor.com. With Real Commute, it's easy to find a home closer to what's ever close to your heart. Do y'all recycle? Realtor.com.
Morning, guys.
Why is Jeff Bridges here?
I'm studying to be in a T-Mobile commercial. Teach me, Sultana.
Oh, I couldn't possibly. At T-Mobile, get the new iPhone 17 Pro on them. It's the most pro iPhone yet.
So you can't teach that. Or can you? You can save up to 20% versus the other big guys.
You got out.
And see.
At T-Mobile, get
You got out, right?
17 Pro on us. Plus, save up to
No?
20% when
Are you
you
still
shop
holding?
Start streaming.
You're about to blow.
/plus now.
Every Monday and Tuesday, the NBA is on NBC and Peacock.
Hello, Milk.
Peacock NBA Monday, NBA Coast to Coast Tuesday. Every week,
Work it slow.
all season long.
Welcome back. Just want to share a few details we heard related to that Bloomberg piece on JP Morgan allowing Bitcoin and Ether to serve as collateral for clients by year end. In chatting with some sources, some people familiar with the matter, I'm told it's still very early days for this concept. And for now, it's really limited to the firm's trading business. JP Morgan's trading business has for a few months now accepted IBIT, the ETF, as a form of collateral, which it sees as less volatile as the underlying currencies. However, I'm told that certain hedge fund managers and asset managers are demanding more of these types of crypto services. Although, again, I'm told that offering Bitcoin and Ether as collateral for trading is not imminent. Well, many remember JP Morgan Chairman and CEO Jamie Dimon's comments about Bitcoin being
I wanted
a
a
pet
pump so I
rock.
can read
He's
short.
moderated his tone recently. Here's what he said when I asked him a few months ago about the firm's increasing overlap with
What's wrong with
crypto,
shorting?
including a Coinbase partnership and the stablecoin-like token JPMD.
I'm not against stable
We're
coins.
not
I mean,
Americans,
mutual fund.
okay?
You know, but
We're
mutual funds
short.
have rules. What are the rules going to be around stable coins? And I think there are really, so I'm a believer in stable coin, a believer in blockchain, not personally a believer in Bitcoin itself. But you're the customer.
How's your pro?
And I don't like
You
to tell
didn't tell
customers
me.
what they can and can't do with their money. That is a whole different issue for us. And so we're going to accommodate those things. If the customers want to use
Show me
it
something good.
and how they use it and it's used properly, we'll be doing it. It's what the customer wants. It's not what JP Morgan personally wants.
Let me see it.
JP Morgan declining to comment, but this is a space to watch because although it is early days and so far somewhat isolated to the trading group, it could ultimately, potentially, we'll see, expand to other areas of the business. They've got a very sprawling business, whether
really
it's corporate or
good
asset
job.
management or even consumer. But again, still early days here and reserved for that
It
trading
was
business,
really
guys.
good.
You know, a couple of things occur to me, Leslie, which is if you're looking for
Yeah, you should.
leverage based on the assets you own, you can say this collateral is acceptable, but of course there are haircuts. In other words, you're not going to lend the entire amount against what the market value. So it's not so much like we do it or we don't do it.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, you know,
What is
we'll
it
tell you
today?
what percentage you can gear it up at.
So that was the question I had when I was talking
Now,
to
let
the
me start
sources
this
was, okay,
Lucid
that all makes
giveaway.
sense. What are the haircuts here? And they basically said that's what we're exploring right now. We're trying to figure out what's appropriate.
What's
because
Google?
Of course,
Wait, Google
a
that
Bitcoin or
work.
an Ether would be
Loser.
traditionally more volatile than some of the other types of collateral they may use historically. So I think that's part of the not experimentation, but exploration that they're doing before really making this a more ubiquitous
Just shorted when hit
part of
540.
the business.
Fascinating. One more sign of evolution in cryptos, that's for sure. Let's get a CNBC News update with Bertha Coombs this morning. Hey, Bertha.
Good morning, Carl. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth says the U.S. carried out another strike on a suspected drug boat in the Caribbean, killing 6 people. He says it was operated by the Venezuelan Tren de Aragua gang.
I just started, so
Hegseth
please
says
get in.
U.S.
You too, Gambit.
intelligence showed that the vessel was smuggling drugs. The strike is at least the 10th in a U.S. campaign against drug cartels, which has resulted in 46 deaths so far. New York Attorney General Letitia James will be arraigned in federal court in the next half hour on bank fraud charges. It comes weeks after President Trump posted a message on Truth Social pressing Attorney General Pam Bondi to take action against her.
You need a
James
win.
is accused of falsely claiming a home in Norfolk, Virginia that she rented out
The
was
link is
her
on the
second
chat.
residence. Her indictment alleges she saved about $50 a month. And more than 200 Democrats in the House are urging the Agriculture Department to draw on emergency reserves to fund food benefits for November. A number of states have warned SNAP is at risk for tens of millions of people because of the ongoing government shutdown. And the funding for that runs out a week from today. Back over to you.
So, thank you. Still ahead, Newmont Mining giving back gains as gold paces for a rare down week. The details after the break. Plus, Bespoke's Paul Hickey says there is a 3-headed monster rolling out the red carpet for equities. He'll explain what he means next.
CNBC Crypto World is sponsored by Crypto.com, trusted by 150 million users globally.
Level up your credit card game with the new Crypto.com Visa Signature Credit Card. Spend in
The
dollars.
450 is going to hit, Gambit. That book map is actually pretty legit. I like it.
Choose from 7 attractive colors.
You see anything in the 300 or no?
Finish. And the best part? Uncapped crypto rewards.
Yeah.
This is our boldest offer yet. Apply for the Crypto.com Visa Signature Credit Card today.
You already got live data? Wow, that was quick.
When someone says, let's impose tariffs on foreign imports,
Holy
it looks like
shit.
they're doing the patriotic thing by protecting American products and jobs. And sometimes for a short while it works, but only for
I think you're done, buddy. Don't try anymore.
Over the long
I think that's
run,
it.
such trade barriers hurt every American worker and consumer.
Did you do that this morning?
High tariffs inevitably lead to retaliation by
Holy shit, you went like God mode today.
trade wars. Then the worst happens.
Wow.
Markets shrink and collapse, businesses and industries shut down, and millions of people lose their jobs.
It works. Wow, it must be the coffee.
That the way to prosperity for all nations is rejecting protectionist legislation and promoting fair and free competition. America's jobs and growth are at stake.
When I started Walton Goggins Goggle Glasses, I needed a website. And GoDaddy Aero uses AI to make a beautiful website so fast it'll blow my customers' noggins while they're shopping for Goggins for their noggins.
Yeah, go back to work.
Franklin
I don't know what to do. I don't like shorting this area.
Easily create custom SMAs with our Canvas platform.
What?
Investors keep more of what they earn. Franklin Templeton, your trusted
He's
partner.
shorting at the chop area where it keeps bouncing. 480.
Unmoved by doubt.
Well, it might go down. What are you short? 485?
Where reality meets
74? Oh.
a provocation, challenging us to satisfy our very souls. What we fear the most holds our greatest intention. So emboldened, we go. Because there's no time for cold feet.
Yeah, it's pretty fucked up, man. You owe him eval. Go buy him an eval.
Welcome
Did you
back to
get your
Squawk on the Street.
raffle
Newmont
ticket,
shares
Israel?
giving back some gains today after that big run since January. Beating profit estimates as record high gold prices helped offset some weaker production, but they did warn free cash flow would take a hit in the current quarter due to costs tied to the construction of some
On
new
your PA?
treatment facilities and planned severance payments.
Fuck, man.
That and the decline in gold prices today weighing on some other names like Alcoa, but my favorite stat of the morning, Mike, is B of A. Gold inflows last 4 months greater than the last 14 years.
Absolutely, yeah.
Making that kind of money like you, I wouldn't be working. Good job in your trading.
Meantime, the major averages all hitting record highs following this morning's cooler than expected inflation report. Our next guest says there could be more gains to come into year end. Let's bring in Bespoke Investment Group co-founder Paul Hickey. Paul, good to catch up with you here. I mean, are we just in don't overthink it mode? You know, we're heading into November. It seems like the bond market's kind of calm about the inflation threat, and we're already up, pretty nicely this year.
Yeah, I mean, those seasonality aspects are all positive for the market going into year end.
474. I think he got out. He
The
took the
inflation data that we're getting today was weaker than expected. Still higher than
Wasn't me,
the
hamster.
official
I didn't
2%
short.
forecast, but it's moving in the right direction. Shelter price of shelter was at the lowest level in 4 years, and so that's helping to offset some of the goods inflation. So the macro backdrop is very good here. Earnings have been coming in. It's still early, but we've seen some of the highest beat rates in terms of revenues going back to at least 2000. And we've seen the earnings beat rate, one of the highest, like the third highest quarter up to this point, going back at least 20 years as well. So these things are moving in the right direction for the market. We've had a little bit of a pause to refresh in the middle of this month. So I think it does set the stage for some decent returns into year end.
Yeah, really severe 2-week stutter step, right, in the S&P 500 that we've had so far. Paul, we kind of teased ahead to this three-headed monster idea, and in the absence of lots of real-time government
I'm gonna
data,
short 500
what
now.
are these
Can't wait.
three monsters or three-headed monster, and what are they telling us right now about market expectations for the macro?
Well, yeah, just in time for Halloween, you have we're looking at the 10-year yield we're looking at the dollar, and we're looking at crude oil. And when you see
Order
these
submitted.
three both rising in unison together, it generally causes
Fucking
trouble
grandma's
for the
like
market.
3,000 ahead of
When you
me.
get them near 52-week highs, it's you know, very troublesome.
I need her to blow, and
now,
I'll be
all
way
three,
ahead.
They're near 52-week lows, or at least the low end of
Kellyanne.
their range. Even
Oh
after
shit,
the
I'm on
gains
YouTube.
that
I'm
we've
sorry,
seen
Kellyanne.
The last 2 days on a 1-year chart, it's near the low end of its range. So in that respect, when they're all down, it's almost like they're bowing and telling the bull market, you know, laying out the red carpet to, you know, keep on going. So in that respect, it's a positive backdrop, and like you said, we're not getting the actual government.
Yeah, if you're down
data,
500,
the
just
official
stop
data, so these
before you
market
end up
indicators
blowing
take
it.
on even more importance.
Yeah, and the bull market turned 3, of course.
2 minis?
Recently. What usually
Is it
happens
100K or
with
300K?
other age bull markets? Once they turn 3, do they make it to 4? Do you expect
Oh,
greater than
man.
average
That's
temper
not good.
tantrums? I mean, you study all the historical data here. What can you tell us about what's in store for
I'm
the
about to
next
short
year or
at
so?
500, so
Yeah, so
I'll
Leslie,
join
when
you.
you get to a bull market, you get the terrible 2s in that, you know, once they turn 2,
Hey, we
you tend
die,
to
we
see
die.
some, volatility in the markets, and you definitely saw that in the 3rd year of this bull market.
Well, this is my PA
Once they
too.
Order submitted.
3-year bull markets usually go on to a 4th year, and just think about it.
Order submitted.
If you're in a
man.
3-year bull market, there's
Order
usually a reason
submitted.
for that. There's usually a big reason why the market has been going up so long for 3 years. Obviously, in this bull market, it's been all about AI. And you know, we just find it funny that this week there's been a number of stories saying if it wasn't for AI, the economy would be flattish.
I thought you just got the
We
payout.
do have AI, so this is the thing. And AI, I think, you know, last I looked, it's a pretty big deal. I think you don't want to just take that out of the equation here. But to the point, they usually, once they last this
Yeah,
long, they've
just
only
cut it. Don't
8
train
out
it.
of 9 made it to a 4th year, and returns were
You're
decent.
such a
So
bitch,
I think in that
Gambit.
respect, that's a decent signal. But also, we are always watching the semis again, just looking for market indicators. And what this shift in the semis we've seen in the last 6 months to go from extreme oversold to extreme overbought is very uncommon.
What a fucking
and
rat.
usually you see that shift for a reason. And when you've seen those shifts in the past, the market has gone on to do very well over the next 6 to 12 months.
Yeah, we've been trying to process what TI even means at this point, given some of the disparity between its action and the others. The other one I had for you, Paul, this week was a 1 week of GEV and a 1 week of Vertiv, and that Wednesday freak out, and the fact that they're going to wind up being up on the week. How instructive is that to you, given sort of these
Order
AI
canceled.
worries?
You know, so I think, you know, some of these stocks that you've seen, you see
Order
these gaps
submitted.
lower or trade lower, and investors have been coming into and buying them. This is part
Order
of a broader
submitted.
trend we've seen all year. This buying the dip, and you haven't seen the market stay
Order
down.
filled.
Order filled.
Mike, you were just talking earlier about this 2-week correction
Damn,
we
that
had in the
pump.
market. It wasn't much because it's really hard to keep the market down here, and so this just
Order
shows strong
submitted.
underlying demand in the market. And getting back to the intro to this segment,
Order submitted.
sometimes just don't overthink it. If you constantly see buying on the dip, it's usually a positive
Hamster, this
indication
room
for
is
the market.
private.
Yeah, obviously the last attempt to buy the dip is always wrong, but there's
Does
many.
your friend trade
many
futures?
successful
Hundreds
attempts
before
along the
that
way.
are usually right.
That's
If
right.
it does,
exactly.
I'll send you an
Paul,
invite, but
appreciate it. Thank you
if
very
he's
much.
an option trader, it's
Yeah, I still
pointless.
like
Yeah.
that don't overthink it mode. I'm going to stick with that for the
I
weekend.
guess, here, I'll send it to
Coming
you.
up, an inside
He
look
can
at
follow
AI
free
demand
loans,
with the head of so-called AI
options.
factory Crusoe after a new funding round valuing the company at more than $10 billion.
I thought I sent you the link last time.
Real-time exchange
There you go.
sector
Check your
sorting
DM.
is sponsored by Sector Spider ETFs.
You want a short goal? Baby bear? I actually don't know. Never mind. 15 inch are way more upside on gold, so no.
So what
no
makes
gold.
Bear different? We're employee owned. Lots of us stay our entire career.
So you get
I don't think
consistent
shorting
advice
is
and
going to be good
service.
today.
From people who have a real stake in your financial success.
Hey, Tim, can you handle this year's summit swag?
How hard can it be? Ooh, shades.
Oh, yeah.
And that's terrible.
Stupid. Come on,
Tim, keep grow ill. Not cool. Huh. That might be so bad it's good.
Is that him?
Conference slogans? Hard. Conference swag? Easy. Move your business forward with swag you can count on from Custom Ink.
Silver is at a 10-year high. Kootenai Silver boasts one of the largest resources owned by a junior company. With the new high-grade discovery in Mexico, the potential for growth and leverage to silver is significant. Kootenai Silver.
Crypto staking just hit Wall Street. For the first time ever, staking rewards are available through a US-listed ETF. Introducing SSK, the Rex Osprey Sol plus staking ETF. Solana exposure with staking rewards built in. Convenient, cost-effective. Solana, staked on your behalf. All through a simple ETF. SSK from Rex Osprey. Not suitable for all investors. Investors should carefully review the fund's prospectus for objectives, risk, charges, and expenses. Visit rexshares.com to obtain it and read carefully before investing. Distributed by Foresight Fund Services.
I couldn't gatekeep this any longer, so I'm finally letting the secret out. Here are the 4 reasons why I decided to get Lyra DNA tested.
1, the most accurate breed results. Embark analyzes over 350 breeds to help you better
Order
understand
canceled.
your dog's needs and behaviors. 2, they provide actionable
Order
insights
submitted.
about your dog's health. You help ensure your best friend's well-being for years to come. 3, you can find and connect with your dog's relatives using the world's first canine relative finder. And 4, they make it so easy to get results. Don't wait to try Embark.
Order filled.
Order filled. It's crazy. Hackers, too many vendors, workers everywhere. But Cloudflare fights the crazy, protecting workers, consolidating vendors, so you can stay calm.
Overtime's about understanding what just happened in the markets that day and preparing for tomorrow. I'm looking to talk to sophisticated investors, beginning investors. I'm always learning.
Closing Bell Overtime, weekdays 4 Eastern and streaming on CNBC+. CNBC Sport, on the record, your front row seat to sports and business, from commissioners and owners to media executives and top athletes.
These are Rembrandts. I'm telling you, these
What happened?
franchises.
On the record, all new tomorrow, 3 Eastern.
Welcome back. One of the key infrastructure providers for the AI
What?
boom just announced its valuation has more than tripled in less than a year. Private startup Crusoe, which helped build the new Stargate data center campus in Texas, raising $1.4 billion in its latest funding round, with investors including Peter Thiel's Founders Fund, Salesforce
Order
Ventures,
filled.
and NVIDIA. Companies now worth over $10 billion. And here at Post 9 for a CNBC exclusive is Crusoe's co-founder and CEO Chase Lockmiller. Chase, welcome. Good to have you in.
Thanks. I'm excited to be here.
You've got a really you've got a front row seat to what's going on in Abilene and Stargate and Oracle. Can you talk about how it's been relative to all the expectations and hype that it gets?
Yeah, so, I think on the ground it's just a very busy construction site. We've about 7,000 people on site every day that are working hard to bring this infrastructure for intelligence to life.
You do say you're a buyer of the abundance theory, that this is all going to bring huge benefits to the globe, but that energy is a gating factor, right?
Let's get this started.
Absolutely. Crusoe's core
Close out
mission
the
is
tickets.
accelerating the abundance of energy and intelligence, and we view those two things going hand in hand to bring this AI abundant future to bear.
How do you think the energy question then is going to get solved in time for these things to work?
Look, I think there's a tremendous amount of innovation taking place across the energy landscape.
Bye, buddy.
Utilities
Have
were
fun.
inherently kind of a sleepy industry for a while as the total demand for power
You still
in the US
trading,
kind of
Gambit?
flatlined for a period. But we're seeing tremendous
Oh, you done
demand
with
to
everything?
power this
good.
next generation of computing infrastructure to run these
Order
large-scale
filled.
Order filled.
Order
and,
filled.
with that is coming tremendous amount of capital
What are we doing, Lucid?
to inspire innovators across the energy ecosystem to bring to life new generation technologies and scale existing ones.
How would you characterize the availability of that capital? Obviously, you just raised $1.4 billion at a valuation of $10 billion or more.
Order submitted.
Some people say that there
Order
is essentially a bubble
submitted.
going on as it pertains to AI infrastructure. I've talked to others. I spoke with the Ares CEO a few weeks ago who said there's not enough capital to fund what we need right now. Where do you stand on that spectrum?
I think I believe that the capital's there. We're seeing it firsthand because it's following the demand. I think what
Order
we're seeing
submitted.
is that
J
you have
and
companies
you,
with the greatest
hello.
balance sheets in the history of business that are leveraging
Can't say
their
hi
balance
back,
sheet,
you little
leveraging their
bitch.
cash flows, leveraging their profitability to help stand up this infrastructure. And they're making
Joking, buddy.
long-term commitments. These aren't, you know, people aren't sort of, you know, just getting into it a little bit. It's like people are making long-term, you know, 15, 20-year commitments to bring this infrastructure to life. And that's really what's required. And from
Can't hear
a
you.
credit perspective, I think you
Just
have
doing the
this
YouTube thing.
incredible offtake for long term. I think the capital's absolutely there to help fund this this build out.
I mean, some of the pushback, I guess, comes in the form of.
Good luck. She's way ahead of me. I got a YOLO. Yeah. Maybe. Let's see. Who's gonna win? See my day trader giveaway they asked me to do? It's different now. I forgot who it was. Someone on Slack. But we don't get out. You know how we use the freebie to get the sign up, right? I don't think this is gonna work. So I just give them the information. When you click on it, you'll see. Who's gonna win? Who's gonna win? It's a close race. Eight seconds. Lucifer. I don't know who you are. Hope you get 25 points. Hey, can you type points?
I think that's one of the most exciting aspects of this cycle is that as this works, it just spawns.
I'm just
incredible new
waiting
demand
for him to get the
more
points.
infrastructure. We're seeing that
I've been looking
in a very
up, man.
broad-based basis. Every single customer we speak with, it's not one customer that's saying we need a lot more compute. It's literally every single customer that we talk to is compute constrained right now. And ultimately that leads to a bottleneck in both chips and in energy infrastructure to power those chips.
That was my
Order
question.
filled.
Order
filled.
Where the name Crusoe comes from. Is it Robinson Crusoe? Is it named after the book?
Order
Yeah,
submitted.
So,
Let's go.
Crusoe
Drop it, baby.
is named after Robinson Crusoe because Robinson Crusoe was stranded on this desert island and had to be innovative with his resources to survive.
Order submitted.
We try to channel that same sense of innovation as applied to energy resources and computing resources to power this next generation of intelligent infrastructure.
Order canceled.
And that's really led us to always
Order
taking
filled.
this energy-first approach to how we build out the infrastructure. Before we put a shovel in the ground in Abilene, Texas, that wasn't a data center market. We went there because it was a market.
Yeah, if he
that had
doesn't
abundant energy,
reply
where there was
back, we just had to do
tremendous
another
amount of,
race. I don't think he's
renewables that
here.
had been built out, and we're actually being priced on a negative basis. There was actually not enough demand for power in that market, and we said, hey, we have an application that requires a ton of energy. We're willing to build it here in Abilene and bring the demand to this market that has abundant energy to power that application. And you're kind of seeing that broad trend.
All right, we're gonna redo it then.
In terms of the next generation AI factories. Sure, there's AI infrastructure that's being built in Northern Virginia, but these mega campuses, these very, very large scale AI infrastructure projects are not being built in this legacy corridor in Northern Virginia that hosts a large portion of the existing.
It's a huge percentage of
Texas. You're seeing it in Louisiana. You're seeing it in Wyoming. You're seeing all these places that are naturally energy-rich locations to power this future of intelligent infrastructure.
I don't know if Virginia can handle anymore. It's 40% of the grid.
Yeah, exactly.
Please come back.
I'm gonna redo
really
it.
good eyes on the ground.
Thank you guys for having me. I'm pleased to be here.
Chase Lockmiller, Crusoe.
Thanks.
All right, coming up, as the government shutdown enters week 4, we'll head to a food bank.
Sorry. I can't add you. It just won't let me add you anymore. Sorry. I mean, you type Bugatti, your name should be on there. Oh wow, what a dump. Chris. Man, that moves is fast. So is that. Caveman, come on, win it. Let's go, Gonzalez. Let's go, baby. Make me happy. No! Who is this guy? I gotta check your points. Your 450 almost hit, damn it. Hey, winner, can you type points? Yeah, 450 is gonna hit. And he doesn't have any points. Redo. Yeah, I don't see any points on him, so we had to redo it. Race again. You want me to add somebody in? I can add somebody. Who needs me to add somebody? Let me get out of this. No, I'm not adding you, JMU. Fuck off. Type points. I don't see you have any points. Look, it went under 450 and bot went short now. Let's go. Yeah, do you have 25 points? I don't think you do. I didn't see it on my Streamlab thing. Yeah, you didn't have it, so we're gonna have to redo it. Yeah, I'm just gonna re-race. Alright, third time. You just gotta chat and watch. Oh, fuck. Hold on, let me add you. Pause. Get out. Who else need to add? I can add somebody else. I think Traderslaunch was one of them too. Traderslaunch and KEET. Anybody else? I am about to start. Oh, I can add you. MK Futures. I'll do 2 minutes now. Don't have that much time. I already added you. I already added you. I did. Oops. I hope. Okay, I hope they don't win then. These dinosaurs are so cute. I've been trading. It's chop zone. Your bot is short, guys. Don't go long. I really hope Kellyanne blow her stuff today. I need her to blow. You know what I can do with $5,000? How many evals I can buy? Holy shit. And we get 5,000 of freebies. Come on, T-Rex. Doug puppy. T-Rex with tiny arms. Alright, 10 seconds. Who's gonna win? I see you talking about keep MK Futures. Good, he's not gonna win. Look at this guy. How do I find out who he is? Okay. I don't think you have 25 hours, points. Yeah, I'm pretty sure he doesn't have it, but we'll see. Is he here? Oh, he does have it. Congrats, man. Can I get your Twitter so I can DM you the code? Congrats, buddy. Man, that's done.
Trade negotiations between the United States and Canada are hereby terminated. National Economic Council Director Kevin Hassett just told reporters here that Trump and Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney plan
I just need your Twitter. I'll DM you the code.
Because the Carney government, he said, was not the one responsible for this TV ad that angered Trump, which was run by the government of Ontario. But he said that the tensions here are about more than a TV ad.
I think the frustration has built up over time. I've been involved in some of these negotiations, and the Canadians have been very difficult to negotiate with. And you look at all the countries around the world that we've made deals with, and the fact that we're now negotiating with Mexico separately reveals that it's not just about one ad, that there's frustration that's built up.
Now, this is the TV ad that provoked a flare-up of tensions overnight, produced by the province of Ontario using a Reagan speech on tariffs from 1987. Now,
Your short would have been good, Ismail. You were holding it still. Yeah, but it went up. It did went up to like 5:30, so I don't know if 2NQ might have been blown. Yeah, but MNQ, you would have been out alive.
Of the U.S. Supreme Court and other courts. Tariffs are very important to the national security and economy of the USA.
Today's hard though. It's freaking all-time high, so it's hard to trade.
All trade negotiations with Canada are hereby terminated. And the Ronald Reagan Foundation issued a statement saying the ad used selective audio and video and misrepresents the April 25th, 1987 radio address. The White House also alleges the ad was selectively edited. The ad does use edited sound bites of Reagan and takes them out of order. But a review of the entire 1987 Reagan speech shows that the
what's your
parts of the
Twitter,
ad
buddy?
not shown were, if anything,
Gotta hurry up. I gotta poop.
tariffs than those that were included in the ad. In other sections, Reagan argued that tariffs deepen the severity of the Great Depression and that they make American companies less competitive. Reagan was a staunch free trader, but he did use tariffs and trade restrictions in what he called narrow or exceptional cases. In this ad, guys, he was arguing that he needed to put tariffs on Japan, even though overall he hated tariffs. Back over to you.
100 points will be nice.
I mean, obviously the Canadian push here was to put the ads in markets to try and potentially sway public opinion as it pertains to tariffs. Do we have a sense on how the public felt about the Canadian geopolitical situation?
He might be making a new Twitter.
Was the public in support of that?
Yeah, I mean, that's the question, right? I mean,
No, he's here. I saw him type earlier. I just need his Twitter. Wish you can DM people on YouTube. It'd be a lot easier.
Trump in his political base, right? Republicans who revere Ronald Reagan and remember the sort of optimism and sunniness of that presidency, and by distinction, it's clear that the Canadians are trying to suggest that Trump is not that, right? And I think that's part of what President Trump really objected to here, was this idea that he compares unfavorably to Ronald Reagan, somebody whose portrait he has in the Oval Office.
Absolutely. Eamon, thank you so much. Eamon Jabbers for us. Let's turn to Ford, lowering its outlook despite a Q3 beat. Phil LeBeau is with us and has more on that guidance that the market seems to really be shrugging off at this point in time, Phil.
Yeah, I think the market is focused on the fact that Ford has managed a couple of difficult situations much better than people expected. As you take a look at shares of Ford, they are now at a 52-week high. In fact, we haven't seen shares of Ford
that's you?
at this level since 2023.
He just created this account October 2025.
Some of that may be explained by
I can't DM you. You don't follow me. Can you follow me so I can DM you?
The impact of tariffs. This Truth Social post
SK is right.
From President Trump. He posted Ford and General Motors up big on tariffs placed on big and mid-sized trucks coming from other countries. Thank you, President Trump. Couple of things here. First of all, they're up big because of demand for trucks and SUVs right now. And when you look at Ford, the tariff...
Yeah, you were right, dude. He just created that. That's my Twitter. Just add me. Follow me so I can DM you. That's too funny.
And they went to great lengths to say, we're appreciative of the Trump administration for changing some of the rules when it comes to importing components. As for General Motors, its tariff impact also has been lowered from what it originally expected. When the company reported its results, it now says for the full year, the tariff impact will be $3.5 to $4.5 billion. They originally thought it was going to be closer to $4 to $5 billion, so they lowered it by $500 million. Take a look at GM and Ford going back to Liberation Day, and I'm not sure anybody expected this. They are both adding production here in the United States, but let's be clear. They are not completely stopping production in Canada and Mexico.
Well, Lucid website's down. I can't get you the code.
Still get the Silverado coming out of Mexico, although they have paused production down there from time to time. And yesterday, during a briefing regarding their earnings, Ford was asked explicitly if there are any changes to its plans to build Super Duty pickup trucks in the Oakville, Ontario plant starting next year.
On Twitter.
They said explicitly, no, those plans are still on track. So, couple of things to keep in mind, guys. The bottom line is this. Both of these guys are up on stronger demand for pickup trucks and SUVs.
Congrats.
That's just the market overall. And the pricing is strong right now.
I'm gonna end the stream now. Later.